Ah, there we go. I know it's Tuesday, but it feels like
Sunday.
It's Sunday in December when you just want to be done everything. But that's okay.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that.
Well, it's still dark by this time.
Mm-hmm. For a little while, anyways.
Yeah, our nights are completely pulling in or pulling out, whatever.
Getting longer.
Getting longer.
Days are getting longer.
Yeah, and so it ends up being, still easy to get in, sort of.
Today wasn't too bad.
No, a few last minute running around. The chickens are the hardest part to get in.
Yeah, they don't want to go.
Yeah, so we had to...
the longer the day gets, the longer they want to be outside.
Yeah, so we had to sneak out right before our live and put the chickens away.
Make sure they were all locked up.
We didn't want to run the risk of waiting until after our live because just in case we ended up with any critters.
Yeah. Lessen the risk of something taking any.
Yeah. So far we've been lucky though. There haven't been any
cat's on the table.
Yeah, he's shaking the camera.
Thundercat.
But yeah, didn't want to take a chance of any critters, so but we've been pretty lucky since we moved here though.
Oh, you say that now. I'm gonna
touch wood, because we haven't really had too much for critters here.
The only big thing was the one raccoon.
Yeah.
Because that raccoon got, wasn't it 8?
Yeah. Ooh, there he goes.
Cat's off the table. Got 8 chickens in one go. But that was pretty much the last. We had the hawk, the Cooper or the gosh hawk.
Oh, but that's a daytime type thing.
That was a daytime thing.
That wasn't a nighttime thing. But
hello, Hitch a Chick.
Not late tonight.
You're right on time.
Any time is always the perfect time to join us. Never late. How are you doing tonight?
And we're usually the ones that are late for things.
Yes. We're terrible for not being on time.
What was the one Easter when we had the lambs and we were like 5 hours late because of an issue?
Yeah. Well, that was waiting for a vet.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's probably our record for lateness.
That was a legitimate reason.
Yeah, exactly.
And we did let people know.
Oh.
But we didn't just roll with it and not say anything.
No. We did say, we're going to be late.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, we're getting close. Speaking of lambs, we're getting so close. Less than 2 weeks till, 2 weeks really until lambs start arriving.
Yeah, or when we figure the earliest is about 2 weeks.
Yeah.
That's not bad.
Well, and there could be a day or two earlier, but that's definite. First one would be arriving in 2 weeks.
Should be 2 weeks, yeah.
Yeah. So hopefully the good, nice weather stays. It's been beautiful out, so.
Yeah, this weekend was really warm.
Oh gosh, it was like 26 or 27 degrees. It was hot.
Yeah, we managed to get a few things done.
Yeah, the poor sheep were dying because they still had their fleece on. I've been slowly kind of working at shearing them. So yeah, we're down to more than half of them are sheared now. So
you've got what, 2 or 1 left? One left that didn't get sheared last fall, so she's got a fair bit on her.
Mm-hmm.
And then three young ones, and then
then 3 that I did shear last fall. So 7 in total left to shear. And actually, I guess I've technically done 10.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah, so, 10 total. So not bad.
Not bad. That's a lot earlier and a lot more on the game than normal because usually we're into May before we get to doing the shearing.
Mm-hmm.
So, but then it dropped off a little bit this week, so we were a little bit worried, but they seem okay.
We finally got some rain, which was nice. Oh. Which is kind of a funny thing to say in the spring that you're hoping to get rain, but it was getting pretty dry.
It was so dry, and now you walk to the back and it's just greening. It looks like you go back to the pasture in the morning and you come back at night to put feed stuff up and whatnot, and it looks like it's grown. These are the pastures that don't have any animals on them, but it looks like it's grown at least an inch or inch and a half today. It was just lovely to see because we need it. We need it badly.
Mm-hmm.
But
It'll
that's
come.
okay. Yeah.
It'll come.
Yeah. But I don't know. I'm very much looking forward to summer.
It'll come quick enough.
Yeah.
What else did we do? We this past week, so we got our geese separated into their breeding groups finally, which is good. Well, they were separated, but we got them set up more comfortably. And what do we have? We've got 4 under the one. One hen, one goose has 4 eggs. One goose has 3 eggs.
One had 6.
Yeah, she had 6 as of yesterday. I didn't count her today, but so that's not bad. So they're starting to accumulate.
Yeah, I'm betting that.
Within a week, one. Oh, excuse me. That one who's
They
got.
won't sit within a week.
The
That
who's
one,
got the
she had to have
6.
20. She had 20 eggs last year.
It wasn't that one.
No, but I'm just saying it was 20 eggs before she decided to sit
Well,
last year.
We'll
So,
see how that goes.
but yeah, hopefully.
Sooner than later, they'll get.
Well,
underway. They still got less time though.
Yeah, it'd be nice to have them the gooses sitting on their eggs by May at least,
I think that'll.
because then that would mean the goslings would hatch in June, right?
Yeah, end of May, beginning of June.
Mm-hmm. Because you're 32 days, so
Yep.
Yeah,
A little longer.
Be exciting because we haven't. Well, I know you've had goslings before.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't, so it'll be kind of cute to have little baby geese.
Yeah,
I think the kids are pretty excited too. So hopefully, the ladies do a good job at it.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they will.
Yeah,
they're all old enough to kind of know what to do this time. When they're younger, kind of that first year they try, they don't always do it successfully. But then usually the year after that, they figure it out, and then they're good for quite a while usually.
Yeah, that's true.
Mm-hmm. Which is kind of nice. It makes it easy, and you can keep them for a while too, which is nice.
Well, and hopefully we don't come into any issues with the sheep either this year. We didn't last year, so.
Oh, we're saying all this stuff, and then we say all this stuff, and then
yeah, and then
we'll
disaster will strike.
Yeah.
No, I think it'll be fine. But
yeah, I don't know what. We're kind of in that transition between. I don't know. It transit like we said this last week. It transitioned so quickly from
cold to hot,
and usually we have a bit of a period where we can get a few things done, and it just sort of feels like, we know we can't plant a lot of things and this, that, whatever. It just sort of feels like, boom, there it is, which definitely seems to be the way our seasons have been going lately. So.
Yeah, you want to plant, that's for sure. We did, yeah.
That was the other thing.
Resisted.
But we did get our last order of lights came in. I think we put that in the last video, the Shed Wars video, I think.
Might have,
talked about it. Yeah. But we got them hooked up, all but the top.
Yes.
So we're top shelf.
The grow room is decked out now with.
It's getting brighter.
Yeah. I'm counting in my head. 24 lights so far.
Yeah, which isn't too bad.
Yeah. And it's still got 8 more to go. No, 9 more to go. Yeah, I don't know how it's working. We have them. We just have to rig them up on the top shelf. But it's getting awfully bright in there. And the lettuce and everything is growing, which is super exciting.
Yeah, we haven't done an update on that. Some of the lettuce, I would say, we're almost to the point of being able to harvest a bit of leaf lettuce from it.
Well, we've been harvesting the kale for the last few weeks, but the lettuce was kind of behind. So it's kind of nice that it's catching up now. And we can mix the two together for salads and things, which is awesome. And I don't know. Hasn't been too much else really going on.
Well, it just takes so long to get a job done. That's all.
Yeah.
Start it. You have ambitions of getting a couple of things done, and then you get one of the 2 or 3 things done, and then that seems to be where it ends. I think that's why time seems to go by so quickly, because you feel like you should be getting more done, but you don't.
Yeah.
But that's okay. We're not doing too bad.
We also had a bit of rain on the weekend too that slowed us up a bit, and
yeah, we worked on some smaller stuff.
Yeah, but it's nice to get in there and check things, and it's nice to get the rain because we used our little testometer thing in the raised beds, and they were bone dry already, which is crazy.
It is a little bit crazy because usually there was quite a bit of snow and stuff, and they were frozen.
Yeah,
kind of all the way down.
But it's also been really, really windy, which I think also makes it dry quicker. At least the top layer, anyways.
Yeah, it certainly can.
So, but we'll hopefully get some peas and things like that planted this week. I did notice the one chicken was out today, and I noticed she'd been in the garlic.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Oh, that one. Wow.
So
is that the one that we clipped the wings on?
I'm going to assume it is, but anyways, she didn't want to be caught.
She may be coming for dinner.
But yeah, she was in the garlic. She didn't really destroy it. She just rucked it around like the
stuff in between the rows.
The straw, yeah. So hopefully she didn't make him damage anything. But
that was coming up really good.
Oh, and it's still there. It's just she's puffed up everything. So hopefully she didn't dig in close to the plants.
If she didn't today, she will.
Yeah. So got to sort out that situation.
Little challenges of everything.
Yes.
There's always some little challenge.
Well, it's like you think you got it, and then the chickens are flying out of the pen. So then it's like, oh, we got to fence the garden.
Well, we know we have to do that anyways.
Yeah, I know.
I think I know you don't. I know you want to try to get away from it, but you're going to have to build some kind of a fence. It's not.
Well, it just would be nice if it didn't have to be the priority. That's all. Because it'd be nice to have time to plunge on with some other stuff and not have to spend it doing that.
That's the thing, trying to figure out what are the priorities. Like, what are the order of priorities? I should rephrase that. I have crazy because it's all wet. The order of priorities. Which thing needs to be done first, and in what order of succession? Because with the last goose pen we just put together for breeding geese. The pen for the geese wasn't really that hard. It was the fact that we had to. Anyways, we've got a video coming up on it, but because of the way we've got the ground and it used to be the access road into the borrow pit, so you can't get in the ground very far. And before the cat knocks the computer down, you couldn't get into the ground, so we kind of had to build a freestanding structure. But to do that, we had to get what's going to become another one of our chicken coops in place. And it's just this chain of events.
Everything has to happen in order.
Seems to be the what do you call that? The story of our lives.
Something like that.
Yeah, well, that's all right. I'm sure everybody has it, right?
Oh yeah.
We've got to do some really serious planting in the next little bit.
Starting, like not planting outside, but starting. We are going to kick her into full gear with the tomatoes, and
we haven't planted our tomatoes yet.
No, but we like to do them I say the first or second week of April, but now we're past that.
Yeah.
But this week they're going to get put in.
Yeah, we still got time. They don't usually take very long to get to a reasonable size, so we always usually get that catch-22. If we start them early, they get huge and leggy, and then they don't take the moving out super well. Whereas like the peppers, I don't know, they can take it better at a bigger size. They seem to take the.
Well, and I like to have my tomatoes ready at the same time as my peppers, and if we start them too early, it doesn't seem to work. So, and I really dislike having to can and do a whole lot of tomato prep in the middle of summertime. So. So yeah, definitely.
We usually do some, but as they come.
Exactly. But anyway, I don't know. That's kind of our week, really.
I guess that's kind of an update of where we're at right now with stuff. I'm not sure what others.
Ivy, come on.
She's trying to climb the fabric.
She wants to get up on her box.
She'll figure it out. Clumsy.
Yeah.
Extremely clumsy cat. As you can see, trying to figure out how far away something is. It's kind of our update right now. I don't know what's
everybody else been doing this week
or has coming up. I guess what have we got coming up? I think we need to regroup and again go back to figuring out what's the priorities, what needs to get done first, because we've got some time this weekend coming up, weather permitting. It's that thing of we need the rain, but we need nice enough weather to do some of it too. So hopefully you don't get too much rain, or we get it during the week. That'd be nice.
Well, I guess we need to finish setting up the last chicken coop that we were working on.
Yep.
Do that, and then it's probably doing our planting stuff, a few little tidbits in the garden.
Be nice to finish off the greenhouse and get the raised beds in it.
Yeah.
I think
that's true. Yeah, the greenhouse,
be kind of a nice thing,
because that may come in handy. You never know. We might be madly running to put things in the greenhouse later if it gets cooler. I mean, we're still 5 weeks off from our last frost date, right? About that.
I'd have to double check and see what it actually is, but it's usually the end of end of May. Yeah, end of May, sometimes beginning of June.
Yeah, exactly. So for that fencing.
Oh, that's awesome. Getting some fencing up. Fencing is like, I think that's one thing that, especially for people who are like new to homesteading or even gardening, depending on what your situation is, people underestimate the importance of fencing.
And just how much fencing there is
you
to
end
do.
up doing, right? Like even if you don't have livestock and you're trying to keep rabbits and stuff out of your garden, depending where you are, there's a lot there, a lot to do. But yeah. Yeah, that's kind of, I think, where we're at too. It's just that it's the, what do you call it? It's not the calm before the storm is not the right way to put it, but it's that like period where you can only do so much.
Well, and your addition of the greenhouse will be quite handy. Quite, yeah, you'll enjoy having that.
Oh, yeah. I think a greenhouse or a greenhouse in some incarnation, and there's different names for bedding, but is always a tool that.
Well, I think because Chris, you just did it was like a hoop house sort of.
Yeah,
he made.
It was out of the old trampoline, was it not? I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is actually a really good idea.
We should actually start watching Kijiji because I'm sure that I see people with broken trampolines in their yard all the time. Should really. I'm saying that we have that other thing that we bought that we want to make into a greenhouse too, the carport.
Yeah. Well, we'll definitely too. That's on the agenda, but probably a bit further
out. But it's something that we'd like to try and do anyways. And I think a hoop house too would be nice. Yeah, the trampoline house. Yeah.
Yeah. Makes for a really good, like they're built, at least from yours, it's
sturdy.
It's sturdy. Yeah, exactly.
Well, and didn't Amy did hers with the trampoline things too. Yeah. Just
getting too excited.
We've got it's the same, and we've got that thing where it seems like we could go for it. You know, it's like, oh, let's gamble, let's go for it because.
Well, it's funny. We built because we had the piece laying around that corrugated. It's not lucite, but that corrugated roofing material. So we had a piece of it.
The clear stuff.
We had a piece, and we had a frame built up because you had some what's the plastic called? Anyways, we had
vapor barrier.
Yeah, we had some vapor barrier over something as a temporary solution last year to kind of save a couple plants, and so we're like, we have this here. We don't really want that roofing material to get ruined. So there on the weekend, I think it was a weekend. Recently, we basically just slapped together like a top, like a cold frame top to go over our raised beds, and then we like put it on. And the bed was still, when we put it on, if you dug down, I don't know, a couple inches, it was still frozen. It was still frozen in there. We put the top on it because we're like, well, we put the top on, it can sit there for a day or two, it'll warm up. And then we kind of went like super quick to full circle to
It's hot.
so
It's hot and
now,
dry
you
in
don't
there.
you don't even need it, but we will eventually
Yeah.
if we do.
Well,
plant
they'll be
anything
handy
out.
to have, and you can just stack them up and store them somewhere. So that's the hope with that, anyways.
Yeah, because we hopefully eventually want to get 4 of them built because we've got 4 corner things that'll go on.
Hey, Big Blue Homestead.
Hello.
I always skip the house. I know it's there, but I just kind of rolls off the tongue really quick. But I should say Big Blue House Homestead. Yeah, 2 hoop houses for the elevated garden beds. Yeah, that'd be handy. That'd be nice.
Definitely. That's the thing about like anybody in the more northerly area. You kind of need that sort of stuff if it takes to extend your season.
Yeah, it's nice to have that little bit of a buffer early and a little bit of buffer late, because it's nice to, like right now, it'd be nice to get some stuff started and know, even if the frost came, you're not too worried about it. We have lots of blankets and things like that we can throw over things if we actually need to, but
well, we always get to that point where you get so far into it and your tomatoes or something's almost ready and frost is coming.
Yeah, and it's just like
that one frost in September
blankets over it.
Always kills everything off if you don't cover it. But I'm going to say this one wrong too. Hello, Crucy does gardening and stuff. I think I said that right. I apologize. I'm terrible for not pronouncing things properly, and I'm looking at scientific names and stuff. I should be better at it than I am. But
yeah, Chris there with his 10 degrees Celsius there in the soil. So it's definitely warming up in there. But like you say, it's one of those things. It's so up and down.
You could definitely,
all right with some of the hardier plants, though, for starting things. We wanted to kind of do some spinach and things out there. But again, we're in that predicament. If we plant them right in the greenhouse in the ground, it's like the other day, it was hot, like scorching in there. We had to open the windows and the door. So I don't know if you could plant in it things that need that cool.
Welsh Hills Homestead, John in Alaska, and Thorhaven Farm. You guys all came in at the same time.
Hey, everyone.
That's awesome. You're ahead of us. We don't have any chicks yet.
Yes.
But they'll be coming. There'll be chicks.
We're trying to get our one girl to sit on some eggs because
she
appeared to be in the mood, and then now she's wandering. Well, not wandering, but she's doing her usual. It needs to have more eggs.
That's the trick with broody hens, right? They don't do it when you want them to, but if you know that they've got a history of it, you can bank on them.
Yeah.
So I've had a bunch of people come in. How are you guys all tonight? We were just kind of going over I guess what we did in the last week, and when you actually start saying, and it doesn't sound like nearly as much
as it felt like.
Yeah. We got some lights up, or a bunch more of our lights up in our grow room, so we've got that going pretty well. We got our last group of geese set up so that they're out of the barn.
Happily sitting there. Well, not sitting their eggs, but laying their eggs in their own house.
Yeah, which is good.
Yeah.
We did a good number on getting one of our chicken coops set up. So we're getting there. But,
wow, that's quite the jump. Yeah. So that's where it gets so hard with the greenhouses and things without, I know people we don't want to put the big fans and things like that in, so, and same as you, we're not heating it. We've played around with some different ideas of things in the next one that we could maybe do, but we're definitely not going to bother with it in the one that we just built. And -4 to 41 is just crazy temperature change for plants in there.
Yeah, that was just crazy, period.
Yeah.
No matter where it is, that's a crazy temperature change. But
greenhouse gets too hot. Yeah.
That's why we actually went with we've got the door, and actually we've been leaving the door open at night for it's warm enough out. We don't need to close it. But we've also got 2 big sliding windows across from each other. So we're hoping, this will be the learning curve for us, we're hoping that we get good we can get good cross ventilation going in there when we need it to.
Yeah. And it is
Yeah.
shaded in the afternoon. We did put the greenhouse in a spot that come summer, there's a big honey locust tree that
partially shaded.
It doesn't leaf out until a bit later. So it's nice for the spring for the greenhouse because it's getting full sun. But then come, once that tree starts to open up, it'll get some afternoon shade, which may help as well to just kind of keep it cool.
Hopefully you didn't lose everything there at Thorhaven. Never. That's always when the temperature goes up. I've cooked things in this, like the silly little greenhouses. I say silly, but the small ones, right, that don't have ventilation, that sort of thing. And I cooked some stuff in one once, and I was not happy that year.
That's okay. We kind of we think we might have cooked some of our peppers under our grow lights. So.
Yeah, but I don't think that's not heat. I think the lights were too bright. But that's awesome that everything is looking like they're growing in your incubator there, Walsh Hills Homestead. That is awesome. So how did your hello, Indiana Backyard Gardener. So no problem about the driving. Sorry, my brain is I'm in one of those modes today where my brain is just
drive safely.
Yes. We're not that exciting.
So you harvested your bull.
So definitely gonna have to ask how that went.
Yes. You're gonna have to come and teach us eventually.
I'm sure outside of the fact that it's so much bigger than everything else.
Well, yeah, same process, bigger
but
animal,
a lot more work.
Yeah,
all around.
Yeah. But that's exciting. Did you make a video on? Well, I probably didn't make a video. Maybe I was gonna say, how did I miss that?
We've been kind of terrible because we've been getting way behind on people's videos.
Yes,
so
we
apologize.
We need some good rainy days to catch up on everybody's stuff. I'm sure everybody's in the same predicament. You're out there and you're gardening and doing stuff all day and trying to get things done and ready for the season. And then next thing you know, you come in and it's just like, oh, I just want to go to bed.
So sharpening a chisel, like what kind of chisel? Just out of complete curiosity there, because that's kind of interesting. If it was in bad shape, like a wood chisel, like I don't know the proper terms for it, but curious.
Oh, like yeah.
We're thinking the same thing, I think. Just can't.
You're talking about a long thingy with a.
Yeah, like a wood chisel.
Yeah.
I assume, but that's good that it went well. But yeah, that's a cow. Even if they're not full, because your bull
he
wasn't.
Was 2, wasn't he?
So
he would have been
pretty
full
much
grown.
Full grown.
Nice work. Congratulations, you guys.
Yes, that's a pretty big accomplishment.
Yes.
Definitely. Literally and figuratively.
Yes. But
that's still, I don't know.
That's something that still makes us very nervous, is dealing with the bull.
You less than I do, but I waffle back and forth about it all the time because most of the other all the other animals we have, we can do it ourselves if we needed to, even when they're full size. But the cow, it's like, I don't know. Our tractor's not that big. Like we couldn't lift it up with the bucket, I don't think. So, not thinking about that now.
We've got a long time before we need to worry about that. Yeah. We've got a year before babies, and then a year and a half to 2 years before UV. So you got a long time to figure it out.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Carpentry one. Yeah,
that's cool. Yeah, that's the one thing about making the videos. It definitely can add some time to things because you're trying to you're thinking about how to best capture that and still do whatever it is that you're doing.
Yeah,
right. It's always
This is where we're learning. This is why. Some of the bigger channels, we notice it's like they've got to be using 6, 7, 8 cameras that are running all the time to catch every angle and watch it, and just a whole lot of editing at the end, I'm guessing, which is great. I don't know if I could handle that amount of time spent, but
that's a lot of technology.
Yeah.
So that's I forget what the sort of dress it is, but that's a lot of beef to put in the freezer.
That is
a lot.
You should have been in Shed Wars. Hey, Eric, thanks for coming in. So the whetstones to sharpen it. Oh, well, we'll have to watch for that video.
Thanks for coming in, Chris.
Yeah.
I definitely appreciate it. We're not super exciting tonight. We're kind of up for chatting about whatever, but we're kind of in that in-between But definitely have a good night, and we'll catch up with you later.
It's kind of one of those things of we're in that limbo, like you said, the in-between stage where we want to get started on some stuff, but it's not perfectly timed yet. And we might be able to start some fencing this week.
I think we could.
It was awfully, like, the ground was not quite ready, I don't think. Real estate agents coming out next week. Nice job.
Oh, that's excellent. Well, it'll...
best of luck. Hopefully they give you great news. I mean, things have just been crazy as far as pricing and stuff, at least around our area. So I'm sure...
hopefully it goes... Hopefully it all happens relatively quickly for you guys, and goes well is the wrong term, but goes well.
But a nice rural property like yours, and you put a lot of work into it and stuff, it'll be quick, I'm sure.
Oh yeah,
the way things are right now, anyways.
Yep, and you're upgrading, which is awesome.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I can just imagine.
Yeah.
We found that, not to go into it too much, but we found that with the sheep, like, they're small enough you can lift them yourselves, but even it took the two of us to get them up high enough. Now we should get a pulley.
Yeah, we need
don't
to.
Have one, but,
thanks for coming in, Eric. Good to see ya. But yeah, we need to invest in the pulley system for sure.
Yeah,
and get that all sorted out.
But if we ever advance to processing cows ourselves, we're definitely going to have to invest in a bit better building, because our woodshed wouldn't handle it. But that's okay. It's not really built for that. So
no, but we see people, they set up the deer one. I know a deer's still a lot smaller, but they set it up with the poles and the big pole across the top. And I think you just make an A-frame thing, like a swing set almost, with the big 6x6 or 8x8. If it was something you were going to be regularly doing, I guess is what I mean.
Yeah.
You'd need to, saying that, how often are you butchering a cow?
Well,
but
not that often if you don't have that many of them. But,
no.
But yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, we'll definitely be hitting you up for some pointers when the time comes.
Adventures with livestock.
Yes, exactly. But
that's where I will say the vegetables are nice, because even if something bad happens, like you cook all your seedlings or they get frosted or whatever, it feels less
traumatic.
Yeah. Or less of a setback. Can still be a pretty big one, but just it feels like less of one if you have a mistake. But on that note, not a mistake, but something, and we are going to do a video on it because I'm pretty excited about it. Last year we grew ginger. It was our second year kind of as an experiment. And the first year was the year we moved. It did really well, like the growth above ground. But we moved it with us, and it was really low in the priority, and it basically sat outside, because 2 weeks after we moved here, so 2 weeks into November, we got the cold snap, and that was it, basically. So it froze, essentially, and we didn't really see what had happened with it, but we were still pretty excited because it actually worked, and it was just, we grew ginger from the grocery store. So I think it was like a Chinese type, because there's a couple different types, and I'm pretty sure it was the Chinese type, but it sprouted, grew, whatever. So we tried it again last year, and it about doubled. Like what we put in the ground about doubled from what we had planted. So we were pretty excited about that. And then, of course, that's our first year going through storing it.
And we didn't use any. We just kept it and stored it.
A few little
the little ones that didn't make the cut to keep, but we kept all of the tubers to hopefully propagate for this year.
And I checked on them was it yesterday, the day before? Must have been Sunday. I checked on them, and
almost all of them.
Yeah, we only had 3, I think,
that weren't sprouting.
3, well, that had gone, they'd rotted, but they were, I think, the original tubers. So that's not that bad. So I'm looking forward to, and they were sprouting and already starting to grow roots and stuff, and we haven't even got them. Like, they're just in their storage bins, so that's kind of exciting.
Yeah, so we're going to have to get them into their pots this year. We're going to try a little bit of a different method.
I'm going to, yeah, I think it is definitely, you're right, Thorhaven, it's perfecting it.
Yes.
That's what we found.
And once you perfect it, you tell us how to do it.
Well, we got the sheep thing down pretty
Well,
good.
yeah, but he's doing
bigger animals.
pigs and cows.
It's well, it's no different than like it's chickens, but we've done so many. We've kind of You have your setup and everything. It works pretty well, but a little flavors and textures.
Hey there.
Yeah, we do grow it outside, but
in the summer.
In the summer only because it's not frost hardy. So that's one thing I'm excited about with the greenhouse too. Now I should be like getting it potted. It needs to be potted this week. It's probably not quite warm enough to go into the greenhouse because it doesn't really like, I forget the temperatures, but it probably wouldn't do great. But I'm looking more forward to the fall because I think that was when we harvested it. It seemed like it was like 90% mature, but it almost had a little bit more to go.
Yeah, it could have used an extra month or two.
Yeah, which if we had the greenhouse at the time last year, we would have had no problem with it.
Because we planted them about the same time as now. We started them in their pots. We had them in the house. And nothing, I think they just started to break the soil come June when it was warm enough to put them out.
Yeah.
And then we had, because of our temperatures, because we covered them the few first frosts when they said we were going to get frost, we put blankets over them outside. So they were still out in October, but really not doing much by that point. I think it had gotten too cold for them.
Yeah.
So, but the stalks hadn't died back really at that point. So I think if we can bring them into the greenhouse and get them potentially till November, or at least in warmer temperatures for September, October, maybe we'd see a little bit more. But like we said, they doubled the
tuber size.
About doubled from what we'd originally put in.
Yeah, which is pretty awesome.
This should be, now we're going in this year with, what have you got? It was 14 tubers or something like that?
14 or 15 or something like that.
So those tubers now are going to get planted. So hopefully this year we'll actually be able to harvest it and use it, or at least a portion of it, because I think 15 tubers should create us a good amount of ginger.
Yeah, I might do a bit of experiment too and try half of it like right fully outside and half of it in the greenhouse, because I know it doesn't like the super direct light, but it likes the heat. So even in the middle of summer, that, it's a tropical plant, it might actually do quite well in the greenhouse.
Yeah.
When we can't.
And we'll have lots of space in there because there won't be much else growing in there. A lot of other stuff in there.
So we'll that'll be I think the experiment to see.
Yeah. But we did, we ended up not, last year we tried to do the turmeric as well, and it just
didn't work so well. It grew plants, but it never went to growing tubers, and kind of done some research and talked to some people, and it just is one of those things. It probably didn't have enough time. And it was up and growing early too. Like the ginger definitely seems like, I know if you're in a tropical or subtropical area, the turmeric is really prolific, but I think where we are, we don't have enough time, and the ginger seems to do better with it for a little bit shorter season. Yeah.
Flavors and Textures has tried the turmeric as well. We just kind of, last year was our second year with the turmeric, and the first year we didn't do too bad, but it wasn't super impressive. And then last year we just got nothing. It just was total dud. And we kind of went down the line of, we don't use a lot of it. And
it was kind of an experiment of, we do use it. So
yeah, but is it,
the more spices,
are you going to grow, if you can't get much to grow, is it worth the effort to try it? Where the ginger, we use a lot of ginger, and it was doing really well. So we actually have potential.
Well, we may revisit the turmeric, because
maybe as things get
Texture said, it needs a lot of time, and I think that was that's our problem. Basically, we just don't have a warm enough season to give it that time, and I don't know. The ginger, I think we can give it an extra time in the greenhouse. I don't know without heating something if we could give the turmeric. I don't think we could. That being said, if we revisit doing a heated greenhouse, which isn't in the cards right now. But then we actually could, but it's still that case of what the more you can grow, the more sustainable you can be.
Exactly. But I think it's it's something that we can come back to and revisit once other things are organized and set up, and it's not that it feels like extra, but when you don't have a whole bunch of other stuff you're trying and figuring.
It's not completely off the table. It's just not something we're probably gonna. And that being said, you do have a couple of routes. We might throw them in just to see what happens.
Well, and then you can bring them in, right?
We're not banking much on them.
But yeah, we were so impressed when we opened the thingy and started rummaging through the.
I think we did a video on it with harvesting them last year, and I was really surprised at how much the ginger actually grew.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, the weird part about it is it's such a slow plant. Like it just is like.
And resisting the urge to dig it up and see what's happening is so hard. Yeah.
But it eventually comes up.
Well, and we always found as soon as we got it outside in the actual outdoor heat, it really went.
Yeah.
It never seemed like it was sitting there forever and ever in the house, and nothing.
Get a shoot and they'd kind of whatever, but they didn't.
It wasn't until we would get them outside in that heat that they really seemed to take off. So
yeah,
we'll try it again, see what happens. But it's nice to have. They're nice because we usually do them in pots, so you can just kind of move them around, so it's not so bad.
Well, and they don't require huge pots either, which is kind of the nice thing. It's almost hard because a shallower pot, like a wider but a shallower, is almost better than your conventional pot. And that's almost hard to find, like a tub or something. But it's not food safe, but those cement mixing tubs would probably be great because they're the right depth and they're big.
Yeah.
But it needs room to spread kind of laterally. But
it'll work.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's always I was terrible last year because I always wanted to check, and then once the first one came up, it was like, okay, it's gonna come.
It's gonna come. We just have to wait.
Yeah. I think that's the problem with a lot of plants. So when you start them, because that's why we do going back to peppers, back into the winter. So we always do them in the plastic baggie method, because I know you can do them with the heat treatment stuff. We always find, or like the heat mats and that, but we always find when you do them not in the soil, you can just see what's going on. And there's always some of them that don't come up. So you kind of eliminate that little bit of guesswork. Are they growing? Are they not growing? Are they whatever? You can just see it.
Yeah, they're like, okay, that one's sprouted. It's going in.
It's part of me that's almost tempted to do that with other things, because we started some broccoli seeds, and we probably didn't, because we're in this transition. We didn't probably look after it as well as we should have. We only had like 4 of them come up out of I don't remember what we planted. And you don't know how we bought them this year, so we don't know how old they were and all that other stuff either. But it was a little bit disappointing. So hopefully the next round does better. Our lettuce has been doing well.
Yeah,
it comes up pretty good. But
hey, Gypsy Vanilla Gorilla, micro farmer.
Hello. Yeah, patience is definitely the key to gardening. I think it's really, you could go one step further and say that's the key to homesteading, because it's not just gardens. It's kind of the whole thing, having that longer term mindset, being willing to wait.
Nothing's ever a super quick turnaround.
And eventually I think that's where it's nice to keep track of stuff too, because then you do realize that, hey, it does work and we are getting the benefit and it is worth doing it.
Yeah.
Which is kind of funny, but hey. You haven't, well, I'm not going to say you haven't missed stuff, but we just keep...
Ginger like garlic?
Not really. No, not really, because garlic you're putting out in the fall overwintering it, and then it comes up. I think garlic does best in temperate areas. I don't know. I could be speaking out of whatever, but I don't know if garlic does super fantastic if you don't treat it kind of like
a cold
season plant. I don't know if it will just keep growing year round, but ginger, I guess in some ways there's some similarities, but not really. Like you do break pieces off to propagate it. That's the easiest way, is to divide the tubers, right? And they kind of have natural break points. It's kind of like when you're using you can kind of a weird tuber.
I would almost say they're almost like a potato. sort of
like
like
a
that
really,
idea.
really
Very,
slow
yeah, slow potato. But yeah, because it's the root or the bulb.
I'm pretty sure your horseradish will probably still be there. That stuff is, once it gets established,
Hard to kill.
it's hard to get rid of.
We'd like to get some.
We'd like to get some and put it down in our food forest because then it can spread a bit. But it's kind of one of those. It's one of those. I guess you'd call. I'm going to say more of a herb because it's not something you eat large volumes of. But that's just it. It's nice. It's another one of those ones. That's a great one because it's like rhubarb. You can plant a bunch of it.
And if you don't use it, it doesn't.
If you don't use it, nothing happens. And if you do decide to use it, especially with horseradish, you're pulling up the root. The more you disturb the root and break it up, sort of the more you get.
Better, yeah.
So, sort of.
Yeah.
But it's really, really hard once you get the tubers in there to get them out. Yeah, exactly. Garlic needs that cold temperature, whereas ginger doesn't really like that. Ginger will tolerate a bit of a cool down. Like we stored it in the basement all winter, and it was okay. Our basement might get
maybe 5 degrees Celsius, so I'm not sure what that is Fahrenheit. I'm terrible. I could Google it. It's probably what, 40? It's 40 Fahrenheit.
I should be able,
around
able
5
to memorize
Celsius.
This stuff, but
I'm going to make a gambling guess that it's 40. Let's see here.
That's something actually we want to get into is the elephant garlic because 41. I don't know 41.
Yeah.
So yeah, our basement's 41 Fahrenheit
in the coldest time of the winter,
and it stores really well that way. Hello, Garden State Gardener. But that's something we want to look at getting is the elephant garlic because I was talking to Gutenjardine about it at some point.
Yeah.
In the last couple months, and I didn't realize it wasn't like real garlic. It's more of a different species of leek. But that's kind of that variety thing.
It'd be something that'd be nice to try.
Yeah, for something different. Hello, Pete. Thanks for coming in.
So yeah, Hitch Chick, you got yours planted in October. Yeah.
Yep.
We were pushing it. We did November, and that was just because we were behind. And we were like,
as
oh, I
usual.
really, really hope that it's going to be okay. And it all came up.
Yeah, it's looking amazing
I think
out there.
Of the 180 bulbs or cloves, I guess, because the bulb's the whole thing, right? So it's of the 180 or 280 cloves that we planted, I bet you 10 didn't come up, which is, we think, pretty awesome anyways. So that's going to be a lot of garlic.
Yeah.
We kind of were anticipating that they probably wouldn't all come up because we were so late planting.
No, but they've done amazing.
Yeah.
Which is fantastic. Uh-oh, it sounds like that doesn't sound good, the Wickshire project. I'm sure there's a backstory. But it doesn't sound good. But we can sympathize. That's why we moved.
Yes.
We just up and moved quick.
Yeah.
But that's good to know that it grows easy. Is the elephant garlic, is it the same as normal garlic, though, where you plant it in the fall, like for the divisions? Because I know it's not the same species as the garlic, but it's very similar. I also am curious if you can, because it is more of in the leek family, or closer related to leeks. I know they're all alliums, but if you can eat the tops more like a leek, because I like leeks, but I've never been really great at getting enough of them going to actually harvest them for the amount that you'd like to use. Again, another thing that if the elephant garlic can be double purpose, that would be amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. I should check. I have to check on my.
I think you're right, and that's where I kind of probably spoke out of line because like the garlic we have is hard neck garlic.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think you are right. The soft neck varieties. I did some research into it. I find the alliums a little bit confusing. I think a lot of people do as far as what species is what and all this other stuff because there is hybrids and all this other weird stuff. But yeah, I think as a general rule, the soft necks can grow in warmer climates better. But we can still grow soft necks here. I know that. We don't have.
But it doesn't seem
necks,
as common here to grow them.
No, most of the smaller growers seem to do the hard neck here in our part of the world. We have two kinds. We'll see how they go. We've got music and Siberian. So Our Siberian hasn't come up yet, but we haven't really checked it lately.
Well, a couple of them had pushed through, but it's also in a lot more shaded spot than the other one.
Okay, so that sounds awesome to me, the elephant garlic. So you basically are treating it the same as normal garlic, and you're eating the tops like a leek. That does sound pretty awesome. We need to get some.
Yes. Well,
we need to figure it out and get a patch.
It'd be nice. It'd probably take a few years to develop it, but
yeah. Mm-hmm. Hey, we'll do some looking up here and see where we can find it. I don't know, this is me going off on a bit of a tangent again, but I like those kind of plants I like things in general that are, I'm going to say the term dual purpose. They can be used for more than one purpose. Mm-hmm. I guess. I think that's always a nice thing.
You're not wasting really any of it.
Well, and you're maximizing your usage, right? Mm-hmm. No matter what it is, whether it's chickens or garlic or squash or insert thing you would grow on a homestead here.
Oh, Zone 7B. Huh. Your frost date would be way before ours.
Hello, Mackenzie.
Hey there.
Yeah, 7B. Yeah, but we looked this up the other day. There is a little bit because our 5B, which is what we are in Canada, is a little different than the US 5B. Not a lot, but a little bit. We're a little colder. But hello, Freehandly Maid.
Balls of elephant garlic are milder than regular garlic. Oh, so that'd be nice for some things. The milder taste.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's the music's quite strong, which is also good too. Although, funny story, and I think I said this before. I had a friend that once swore by if you started to get a cold, like a head cold, you could feel it in the back of your throat, to take a clove of garlic and sort of chew on it, and eventually just eat it, just the clove. And I did that once, but I did it on an empty stomach, and I do not recommend that.
No.
It was like an instant reaction, and then you can understand why most animals won't eat garlic.
Oh, Crucie's got a red German garlic as well.
Oh, very cool. And the red Russian.
Yeah.
We looked into the red Russian.
But I kind of I didn't like that it was less cloves and they were really, really big. I don't know if we haven't looked into the red German. I don't know if it grows the same way. We should look into it because I'd love to have one that's the kind of the reddish skinned. But
the one thing with garlic, and this is where we're maybe bad, maybe good. I don't know. Take it for what it is. There's so many varieties, and you're just cloning them, right? So it's like potatoes, but we kind of went down that line of we didn't want too many varieties. We kind of just bought the big
Oh, with the garlic. I was going to say we have a lot of potatoes.
with the garlic, we were trying to focus and not get too spread out on too many varieties, I guess. Mm-hmm. But I'm sure we'll add more later.
Oh, it'd be nice to do one more, probably. But
yeah, as long as it's something different. But your co-op partner fell out. Oh.
Oh no!
That does not sound like a good mix of events. That is for sure. Yeah, that sort of stuff.
That's always the part that I'm so nervous. We have we know people that have talked about we should do a co-op, we should work together, we should whatever, and I get so nervous about things like that. As much as you don't, you want to. Well, for us, anyways, we often talk about it'd be nice to do things the way they did in the old days, where everybody did it. Your neighbors did it, and you shared and you traded and things like that. But it just is not. At least up here, anyways, it's not the reality. People don't do it.
People do, but they're very spread out.
That's what I mean. Like we were saying was it in our last live there? Like we live in a little community. Like there's what? Maybe 10 houses, 15 houses in this little community.
Probably, actually, you might be right about the 10. There may only be 10.
It might be 10 houses in this community, and then our farm opens out behind them, and
which is kind of nice.
It's nice, and really, of those 10 houses, I think only one has a garden.
Yeah. Now, two neighbors, one's a cash crop farmer,
Well,
and
that
one
yeah,
is a beef farmer. So,
yeah. So they
but
do
they
the
don't,
cows, and then the other
but
one
they
does
don't have
crops,
gardens
but
or
they
anything,
don't have there's no vegetable
and they
gardens
only
or
have
anything.
like the principal crop, beef and
Corn.
corn and soy. They don't grow anything else, but
Yeah.
it is what it is. But yeah, I don't know. I always sort of said that would make a lot of things easier to have people have like-minded stuff, which I know there's some folks on here that think the same way,
Mm-hmm.
are very like-minded that way. But yeah,
What?
that's a good idea. Just
Yeah.
stick to the three because it is that rabbit hole. All vegetables are that rabbit hole, right? I'm gonna stick to vegetables and gardening stuff, but everything is kind of that. It's that rabbit hole of you start researching, and there's so many kinds, and they've all got their own little intrinsic differences and whatnot, and then you kind of just eventually it gets to the point you just can't grow them all.
No. Well, and you're doing it right by picking a few and then deciding what grows best for you. I mean, our garlic, we kind of not lucked out, but I mean, it costs money. But we had a local farm that does garlic in a big way, and it was they'd been propagating and doing their own garlic for I think it was 25 years, the music garlic. So and they're from this they're very close to us. It's the same climate, same soil, same like there's so many things that were the same. We said we will have no problem. We won't be able to kill this is what the hope was as we planted in November.
I won't be able to kill it. That's a great way to put it.
Yeah. So fingers crossed anyways. Hopefully the chickens don't kill it and we'll be good.
They're not eating it, but they're getting around it. Grr. But well, I have to say this is going to sound kind of funny, and I don't mean it to sound funny, but I hope that he does sell the farm because if that allows you to kind of do what you're hoping to do, then that's what you need to have happen, right?
Mm-hmm.
I know that's not in your control, but at the same time, it is what it is. It's probably one of the few times where selling the farm sounds like a positive.
Yeah.
Usually it's not a positive if you have to sell or somebody has to sell the farm. Yeah, no, that makes completely sense. That's actually something I was talking today to one of my coworkers over the phone, and she's got an interest in gardening and stuff too. And she owns her own property, but she's kind of got that dilemma of she wants to do some permaculture type stuff on a smaller property, which is amazing. It's a great idea. But she's also got in the back of her mind, like, how much effort does she put into it? And I'm kind of stealing her thunder a little bit here, but how much effort does she put into it if she thinks that, they might move? Like, that's not their sort of forever home. Not that she won't do it, but it's kind of like you said, how much effort do you put into it if you know you may not be staying there? Yeah. Which is, of course, very different from what we're hoping, where this is it. If we have to move again, we're not doing all this. Yeah, stuff. This is the... if we have to move, we're out.
Yeah.
Really, but...
Wow. It would be a lot smaller scale if we ever had to move, especially right now. But we're same as what he's saying about the price of lumber, and that's the blessing right now is you really can't afford to do the stuff at the moment, anyways. And that would be the same thing for us. I mean, if we had to sell, we couldn't buy now into anything that would allow you to do it.
No, not without moving a lot further north, which isn't in the cards. We to be honest with you, for other reasons we couldn't move north. Like in Ontario right now, I don't know if there is any. I don't know. There is. There is another fellow Ontarian in here, but a lot of people are moving with everything that's gone on. They're moving like a lot farther north because there are some pretty good opportunities for some pretty large chunks of property. But we're talking like you're going to zone 3. In a lot of cases. There are other opportunities too, but there's a small part of us that's like that off-grid.
Well, and what are they called? The not uncharted townships, unorganized townships, and all that sort of stuff. Which is, you watch that and you read about it and you and it's very tempting to.
There's a romantic idea.
Yeah, but then we do the reality check of it still costs money even if it's unorganized.
Yeah, well, it's not feasible for other reasons, but yeah. But there was a point after the whole rooster incident that we were like, do we just up and really move?
Well, it wouldn't have been too bad, I suppose, for your work and things, but
could have made it work.
You could have, especially if we'd all known we were going to be working from home, because now you can work from pretty much anywhere.
But that being said, if we had done that, we wouldn't. I mean, this is us in Canada going where we live is like kind of we're lucky because you.
Thanks for coming in, Big Blue House Homestead.
Yeah, thank you. We're lucky because you can't get a whole lot further south unless you go to southwestern Ontario, but that's filling up pretty quick as far as people in some areas. But
Bigfoot.
What's that? You said
Chris says Bigfoot land. That makes me think of where's the Sasquatch? The northern as you drive through northern Ontario, where's the Sasquatch? The statue.
I can't think of the town. There's a funny thing here that in a lot of the northern communities, they all have like a statue.
It's not a mask. Yeah, I guess it is kind of a mascot. Yeah,
and some of them are very different. It's kind of fun when you do.
It's one of those things when you do a Canadian road trip, you have to stop at all these silly statue things. There's like the largest Canada goose and the Sasquatch one, and then there's some
moose and
well, there's the giant mosquito.
That's in Manitoba.
That's in Manitoba, not Ontario. But yeah. But just saying that when we went, I remember driving from Manitoba through the States to get to the cottage in Ontario, and we'd stop at there was like Paul Bunyan with his blue ox. That was somewhere. I don't remember where. I was a kid, but it was cool. Anyway,
yeah, that sort of stuff's all interesting.
I guess they got some weird statues too.
Yeah. Night for Henley Maid. Thanks for coming in.
Yeah. We're probably actually going to make it a short one tonight anyways, because we have the kids this week and I know they're not in bed. I can hear them.
They're using this opportunity to stay up late.
Exactly. They are. So it will probably be a short one for us, to be honest.
Yeah. But we just kind of,
Mackenzie got recruited by Will It Grow?
Oh, nice. Oh, I don't know. I'm not going to go into it too far, but the principle of the Shedware stuff is pretty cool. Sometimes it's a little hard. I will say it. Sometimes it's a little hard to keep track of it all.
We're having a really hard time following everything that's going on.
Well, following everybody and following the latest updates, and that's a little hard. We try.
Yeah.
But anyways, it is what it is. That's all right. But I think the despite all the recent changes, I mean the what do you call it? Spirit, whatever. I don't know what you want to call it, but
the core of it, or the core
values. There you go. They're still there.
Yeah.
Hey,
Bomber Steve.
Hello. Thank you for joining us. What time? It's got to be midday there.
Probably.
I'm terrible, but the calculation on the time zone stuff, but yeah, I think I got that right. I think it's midday. Yeah, it can be a little hectic, but it's fun.
Well,
we're having fun with it.
And we seem to get behind because like I just had a flip through and I'm like, oh gosh, I see something that says Gladiator 5 and I'm like, we only just sorted out Gladiator 3, so I'm like, what was 4?
Oh, that's what Pete just said. There was another one, so we looked at. Well, no, I watched 4 because 4 was the growing something.
Yeah, but
from
there's
the
something about a pepper is now number 5. So.
11:33 a.m. So I wasn't too far off. It's pretty much midday, Steve. But we kind of figured we're racking our brains because we're trying to do the Gladiator challenges as best we can. But we kind of said we didn't. Thank you, Garden State Gardener.
Yeah.
We didn't want to change too much of what we do to I'm going to say accommodate long term, but accommodate it because we still want to keep like our seed saving and all that stuff going. So wherever we can do it, great. But we were kind of thinking with number 4, we couldn't really figure out how to do it.
Yeah.
Sort of more ginger. Maybe.
We could do more ginger, but otherwise we already have all of our stuff that we save, and we don't want to bring in something that might cross, like the pepper. We don't want to go to the grocery store and buy a pepper or something and plant it, So it's kind of one of those things. We said, well, maybe we could do potatoes, but I think he said something about it wasn't supposed to, didn't he?
No, he said potatoes.
Oh, okay.
Potatoes and root stuff was fine too.
Yeah.
But then it's also one of those things like with the ginger, which is funny how it all kind of plays out, right? Like right before it, we were looking at the ginger that we did with that same experiment.
Yeah.
So all the ginger that we're growing from this year is all propagated from
store-bought from last
and then
year.
saved, and then we're propagating again.
We're just a step ahead of the experiment. So
I haven't seen 5 yet either, but that's all right.
Yeah, 5 was something about growing a pepper, something. I haven't actually watched the video. I think it just came up. But we were like, gosh, we haven't even organized what we're doing for 4. So,
we may not.
And it was one of those things. I'm like, okay, I know you can, but at the beginning it was supposed to be like the 2 videos a month. And I was like, if you're doing all these ones, you're not giving any tips or anything. Well, I guess you can work them into a tip video.
Yeah, we did we put our tip in our last one, which was keep a library.
Yeah.
Library is useful because we added our new library. A
big pepper. There you go. Yeah. Okay. So I knew it was something about a pepper.
Well, we can do that one.
Well, ours don't grow big. All the peppers we grow are small.
No,
yes, they're small.
The
they're small.
Well, we can grow a big.
They're not like a big shepherd pepper.
True. That's all right.
But we can grow one. We'll just grow. Well, we've got 72 plants, so we'll just choose the biggest pepper that we grow. There we go.
Yeah.
Like there you go. There's a big pepper.
Oh, that's funny. That sounds cool. The Armenian cucumbers. That's one thing. We grow the straight 8 cucumbers, and we're gonna get to this because I'm gonna organize doing a seed thing. We're gonna do a seed or seed saving mini series or whatever you call it. But, that's one of those things where there are lots of options, but we're afraid to grow a different kind of cucumber because it would cross with the straight 8s, and hand pollinating doesn't work so well for us. But well, that's kind of good. Go to Florida and remove yourself from the situation from a bit. That's what it is. And kind of step back for a bit, and hopefully things progress on their own,
and then come back.
Things will improve.
Oh, so she grows the King of the North pepper.
I've grown King of the North in the past, and I've never had them do anything. I just get a plant. That's why we picked a lot of the varieties we have, because we're like, they're simple. They just grow.
Yeah. Yeah, we're kind of the same thing, Mackenzie. It's like our ones wouldn't suit. So to start, we could start one now, but I mean, then you're talking a late season pepper plant by the time it really gets going. But sorry, what did you say? That's the challenge? Go up a little bit? What did you?
Yeah, the challenge, the big pepper, which makes sense.
Everyone's peppers will be added together.
Oh, okay. Oh, so you just pick your biggest
Pete's
pepper.
watched the video, so there we go then.
Pete's giving us a heads up. We haven't watched it yet.
Yeah. Okay, so it's a team effort. That's better then, because it's kind of hard to do the,
yeah, that's cool.
Do it for our team.
That'd be a good one. Largest tomato without cracking by weight.
Ooh.
We could possibly, that one would work.
Yeah.
We do have some pretty big tomato varieties. And the tallest sunflower with the largest head. Well, that one we might do okay with possibly because we're growing
go back. Sorry, go ahead. So these are ones that he's just doing for yourself, or this is something that'll come into Shed Wars later? Sorry, I'm not, because he says we're also doing the largest tomato, or that's just something that you're keeping track of.
Either
for
way,
your own.
Maybe you don't know. Maybe it'll end up being a challenge.
Because that'd be interesting. The tomato one is definitely interesting. I hear a child. I'm going to be right back.
Child is sneaking down the stairs. You just got me for a few minutes. Oh, you're coming to say hello? She's coming to say hello. She's up way past her bedtime.
You got to go into the picture.
Spring break.
Yeah, well, April break, because spring break was postponed.
Yeah.
Right?
And I've been doing the work that I'm supposed to be doing.
Yeah, you've been working hard on homework
But I'm
over
supposed
spring
to
break.
be doing it next week, but I'm doing it a little early.
Yes,
Yeah.
they got the news yesterday that they weren't going to be going back to school after the break because of lockdown. So, homeschooling, yay!
And I'm going to show all of the teachers my cats.
Your cats.
I've
Yeah,
already
Femi.
started showing her some of them.
Yeah.
And you've been
she's
doing
some-
some gardening. And,
Yes.
Yeah. We'll put you to work around the farm now that you're not going to school.
yeah.
All right. Let me...
Yeah, that's what I was kind of wondering if you were thinking they might come into play at some point, which is good to know. We're growing the Russian mammoth sunflowers, which hopefully we're going to put a little bit more effort into it because I'd like to actually get some seeds back from them for actual eating purposes. But in the past, we've kind of just got them growing, put them out, and then totally ignored them or put them somewhere silly that they never really grew. So hopefully this year we do a little bit better. That's the hope on a bunch of stuff. But never heard of Mongolian giant sunflowers. That sounds interesting. Sounds really interesting, actually. I'm trying to think of what our biggest tomato is that we have. I'd have to think about that. Possibly the pineapple. What are they called? Pineapple something tomatoes. They're pretty good size. Or at least the ones we had last year are pretty good size. That's a pretty good size one for the Russian mammoth. I like them. I don't know. I did a lot of research into sunflowers, and like the oil type, the black oil ones are nice, but because you can do the pressed oils and stuff from them, but then it's how much you need versus the striped varieties, and they're more for eating and shelling and that sort of stuff. So we're going to kind of go, I think, with the striped ones for now and see how they do. Because short of just buying a bag of like black oil birdseed type sunflowers, which all come from, what is the name of that one? Oh, I can't remember. There's a bunch of different varieties that have been developed that are basically all derivative from this one oilseed sunflower. But sunflowers are amazingly complex as far as all the different kinds. I've heard of the Cherokee, the purple Cherokee. I think it's really similar, not the same thing, but really similar to the Black Prince that we grow. I think they have some relation. And I actually have grown the hillbilly ones before, but they didn't do very well for me. That was quite a few years ago. Good night, flavors and textures. Hope you have a great night and a great day tomorrow, since tomorrow is Wednesday, middle of the week. Yay, the weekend's coming. Oh. Be interesting to see what you get, because sunflowers are one of those things. They have like a crazy separation distance because they're super attractive to insects. So when you have more than one kind, you get all sorts of weird little things happening. But I've often toyed with trying to cross like the oil type ones with like the black oil with some of the striped ones and just see what you get. If you could get a bigger black oil sunflower seed, but I'm sure it would be quite the process if nobody's already done it. Oh, that sounds interesting. There's so many different kinds of tomatoes. It always amazes me, and that's why I always sort of recommend, if anybody asks about like if they're interested in seed saving and newer gardeners and stuff, it's like, start with tomatoes. They're so easy. There's so many to pick from. You're guaranteed you're going to find something you like, and then why not keep it going and save money in the process? Oh, that's awesome. Well, the nice part about sunflowers too is they're useful. Like you can put them to use. Oftentimes, the birds, the American goldfinches, tend to like stake them out, and then as soon as they're ripe, they eat them all. Like, it's like you have no hope of getting some of them, but we're hoping we grow enough this year we'll actually get some back. But yeah, sunflowers are kind of one of those nice things because they're useful. They actually are they have a vegetable use as food, but at the same time they're pretty, which you don't get. There's a few other vegetables, but you don't get a lot of vegetable plants that have that prettiness to them in the garden. So you get kind of another dual purpose, which is kind of neat. Yeah, I think that's a great piece of advice. When I first started with tomatoes, I think I got 3 because I was reading through seed catalogs, didn't have any seeds, hadn't grown them myself. Was like, I like the sound of these 3. Of those 3, I only now still grow the 1, but we switched to some other ones because we've periodically tried.
And found we liked something.
Yeah, and if we like something better, it's like us with our Scotia tomatoes. Absolutely love them. I don't know if we would ever replace them.
No.
They kind of are perfect for that use. But that's the best part, right? Like when we were talking about the seed stuff in Jules's garden chat.
Yeah.
It was like there's multiple reasons to save seeds. One of them totally is to keep things going, and what do you call that? Keeping heritage things alive. That's completely valid, but it's not really the most important one. I think the most important is grow the things you like, and if they happen to be those things, that's an extra benefit too. But that's my opinion.
Yeah,
grow it because you like what it produces for you, or how it produces, or whatever. And
use them for bird sounds.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. Well, the interesting part I find with them is, but then it makes sense because sunflowers are native to North America. They're just very, very different from their wild counterparts now. But the American goldfinches, they time their breeding season is actually later, so they don't start in our area. Most birds are nesting. Well, they're starting now, with kind of lots of them in May, and then in June, they're kind of almost getting done half young. But the American goldfinches don't start until the end of June, so they time having their babies to the time when all those weed seeds and stuff are ripe for the picking, kind of in late August and September, which includes sunflowers.
Yeah.
So they've got they're good to have around because they eat a lot of different weed seeds.
Next year. And those medieval looking, yes, our sheep.
Yeah, the sheep definitely have that look.
Yeah.
I don't know. The chickens kind of do. They don't look normal.
Yeah.
And
I always think our whole farm has a feel of an old English farm.
Yeah.
Like the geese look like old English geese, and I know they're not. They're American buff geese, but they just it has a whole feel of an old English farmyard.
The big thing for me, if you're doing it on a homestead scale with a long-term goal of trying to be somewhat sufficient, i.e., not knocking this at all, but you could just buy meat birds and buy a couple pigs and heck, buy a couple calves and grow them and butcher them and then repeat the next year. Nothing wrong with that. Totally viable system. But for us, when you're trying to keep it going, like the chickens, we don't buy chickens every year. We hopefully won't be buying cows every year, eventually pigs, and the sheep are the same way. Like last year we bought 1 ram. And then they produce everything for you. When you're doing it that way, and I should do a bit of a discussion on this at some point, but it's almost like you're more subsistence farming, and then smaller is actually better. To a point. You don't necessarily need the big 500 pound or 600 or 700 pound pig or whatever, but that's just our opinion. You could go down that rabbit hole.
Yeah, for us it's about being able to keep that breeding flock or herd or whatever you call a group of breeding pigs. And
but I think that's a really neat point though that they brought up. Like they look like they're from an era, a time that's no longer with us, and they kind of really are.
Yeah.
The cows are, the sheep are, although I know they're still pretty popular in Iceland. The pigs kind of are, although they're gaining popularity. And who raises geese anymore? So I always say it's like geese were were like one of those medieval staples. Everybody had geese because geese were domesticated in Europe, and they were easy because they eat grass.
Yeah.
Right? Whereas chickens are a lot, if you think about it, chickens are a lot harder because chickens are eating grains, which is competing directly with people. So if you don't have a lot of those things, or if you have a lot of chickens, they're competing directly with you. And whereas the geese kind of aren't. You can kind of put them out to pasture in the summer.
Saying that, I saw your geese gobble down the worms today.
Well, yeah, they only do that in the spring usually.
Yeah.
But
Oh boy, they were just like right in there in any puddles. Get the worms.
yeah, that's the other thing I do like about going back to your post there, Mackenzie. I have always wanted, and it's a little easier said than done, to plant like a chicken garden, because this goes right into what I was just saying about chickens are grain eaters. For the most part, you need to have grains to keep chickens long term, unless you live in a tropical environment, in which case maybe you don't. But in a northern environment, you do. But grains can be a lot of different things, because sunflowers kind of fall into that category, right? And they're great for them. But it'd be nice to grow a mix of various seed type things that you could feed to your chickens.
Yeah.
But it's a bit mind boggling when you start looking at how much, depending on how many chickens you have, how much you would need to grow to feed them, because chickens eat a lot. They're very productive. Yeah. They're great to have, but they're a little more challenging to.
And they seem to really like diversity.
They do. They really seem to thrive on diversity. That's where I do like having the bigger animals too, because it sounds terrible, but it's like they love the manure pile. They love the manure. They eat the rabbit manure. Like you're not feeding it to them, but they're
running as soon as you let them out. They run straight over to go under the hutches.
The nice part is they are using. In that case, it's like a geese eating the horse manure. They're literally using a waste product that you wouldn't use for anything else, and they're doing it on they're choosing to do it.
Yeah,
so that's where you get into like your biodynamics, and if the old time farm is. Like the real old time farm is like its own little mini ecosystem, right? And I think that's the part people forget. And I totally
and everything
understand.
Fed off of everything.
And I totally understand. Not everybody can have livestock. That's a reality right now, right? But and so I'm not saying that in a negative way if you don't have livestock. But at the same time, even when you're gardening, having the livestock can or should really feed back into that system, right? It's like us with our hugelkultur beds, we're using the wood and the branches that we've cleared to do gardens and do some of the livestock stuff as the foundation, and we're using the animal bedding. The chickens get access to it, so they're getting a ton of food out of it. And then at the end of the system, we're either planting it with something or we're harvesting the soil, which is what we did in a recent video, to put back in our raised beds and on our garden. So it's like quite a little system. Now it's not a closed loop yet.
No, but it's getting
but it's getting closer.
Yeah.
But
we watched the one thing about the guy who fed like all his chickens off the compost.
But you need a lot of compost to do that.
Yeah.
But you can do it. But that's pretty awesome to getting daily I think that's one thing too. People sometimes put a little too much pressure on chickens. They always have a down day or two.
Yeah.
or a period.
Well, and that's where it's somewhat nice. It's like for us, and when you've got a little bit bigger flock, it definitely would be hard for people that only do the 4 or 6 chickens, because every day you're looking at those chickens for those eggs, and they really have to produce. But then we've got the flip side where we have 20 some laying birds, and so we go out and it's like, oh, there's 16 eggs today. That's awesome. They almost all laid,
Mm-hmm.
But when you have more birds, you can balance it out, because we do have that period in the winter where, they really only lay every 3 days, 2-3 days. But because they're not all in the same schedule, you're still getting stuff because we have so many. So it still works for us. But I could definitely see the frustration for some people when you've got you've only got your 4 hens and you want the eggs for breakfast and they're not there.
Yeah. Well, but
saying that none of our hens lay in the morning. Anyways.
No, they're usually later in the day. But that's a great question about feeding them leftover vegetables. And I think Gypsy and the Vanilla Gorilla already answered it. Right down here. But and so did Mackenzie. but you most certainly can. Now, like we feed them. The one thing we do find when we're into like tomato canning season, we take it out to them, all the parts of the skins and stuff.
They
get
don't.
to they do it first,
but the amount that I
point,
take out, they end up going, I'm not eating any more tomatoes.
Yep, they fill up in there.
We also never feed garlic or onions to ours.
That's about the only thing. The garlic and the onions, peels and stuff, we don't.
And we don't feed poultry meat. But our chickens do get fed other meat product.
Yeah, we don't feed the chickens duck or goose or chicken, but we do feed them when we butcher larger animals or the rabbits in particular.
Mm-hmm.
What we often do is we take, because we debone most of what we butcher ourselves, we still cook it. We just put it in the oven for a bit. The only reason we do that is so it doesn't get gross really quickly, which isn't a problem so much in the winter, in the cold, but in the hot, it's kind of nice to do it. And it's amazing how clean they pick it. Like chickens are, I know there's lots of advertising for, vegetarian chicken diets and stuff. Chickens are not herbivores. They are hardcore omnivores. No question there. But at least that's my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah. We, this is the time of year where, well, not now, because now we're letting all of our hens collect their eggs for hatching. So, but in February through till now, that's when we collect eggs like mad. Like I want to say I have 18 dozen eggs in the fridge.
Yeah,
downstairs.
And they'll keep for a while when they're your own.
They're all labeled, so we're eating them in the proper order. And basically, we do the same process in the fall when everybody starts laying after their chicks have been separated again, and we start the process again of saving them up for winter because we know there's less eggs produced in the winter time, so that gives us that buffer.
But our breed is actually known for kind of continuing to lay, so there's less eggs, but.
They still lay. It's just not as many as we use 6 eggs a day.
And we get a funny thing where the period when they lay the worst for the partridge chanticleers, and we don't light them or anything, is from October to December 21st. So when the light's really getting less and less every day, right? Within a week of December 21st, when the daylight, like it's imperceptible, but when the days are starting to get longer, it's slow, but they start to lay again. They're just that adapted for winter. Yeah. But yes, I kind of have skipped over a bit of the conversation, but very good point, Mackenzie. Like, don't anybody ever feel bad for asking questions, because really, best way to put it is there's no bad question. A question is a question. You're trying to learn more information.
Yeah.
Like, don't ever let anybody, this is just general advice in my opinion, but don't ever let anybody, make you feel like your question was a silly question or whatever, because it's not silly to you. You're asking the question. And the more you learn, the better everything gets.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
But,
we contemplated maybe even with our worm bins, we were contemplating on that point of feeding them sort of, worms aren't insects, but feeding them that kind of animal matter. We contemplated taking the worm bin to the point that we could maybe supplement a bit back, but we've been finding like our indoor bins, they're great for using stuff up, because especially when you have smaller bits of organic stuff that you don't want to use or you don't want to put in a bin to take outside. But we do actually find that the chickens in particular, like they're consuming the bulk of our vegetable waste.
Yeah, we don't produce enough for the worm bins to.
No, we'd have
expand.
We would have to. Well, yeah, we can probably expand to a third bin, but I don't think we could go above that. And that's just our 5-gallon bucket bins. But everything gets. We really don't produce a lot of quote unquote.
Well,
garbage.
the worms get for our worms we process everything and in the food processor, so they get all the eggshells, the coffee grinds, tea bags, what else? I mean, occasionally peelings and things like that.
Yeah,
they get all the kale pieces and things like that. But
the only other thing we don't feed, so with the chickens, we don't feed them like the garlics and the onions, the alliums. They will sometimes they'll eat them. Most of the time it's kind of a waste anyways, so we just compost them. We don't feed the eggshells, but the eggshells we grind up quite fine, and we put in the worm bins because, yes, exactly like here, they are great for composting in the garden, and they're also great for the worms because the worms need the calcium. So, and it kind of gives them some grit. So they go to the worm bin. If we have too many of them, we sometimes just compost them too. But the only other thing we don't feed is any citrus. Oh, and avocado. Don't feed chickens avocado because there's compounds in avocado that is toxic to birds.
Yeah.
I don't know at what level, but hello, Guten Gardening.
Hey there.
Thanks for coming in. But that's about the only things we don't feed them. The citrus, they don't really like anyways. And the avocado, I have a feeling they would eat it. But yeah, you're not supposed to. And coffee and chocolate. But not really going to feed coffee and chocolate to the chickens doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
We give the chocolate to the pigs. I mean, we don't need to eat the chocolate.
Pigs can eat chocolate, actually. One of the few
chocolate does not make it to the compost.
No. But, yep, that's what you want, though, is a worm bin that smells good. Because as Guten Gardening says, that means they're happy worms.
Yeah.
Ours are the same way. And this is going to sound funny. It's just because of the way the house is. But our bins are technically in our bedroom because it's just the house or the room in the house that stays
Hey, Bettina.
Nice temperature. Hello. It doesn't get too cold in the winter, doesn't get ttoo hot in summer. And aside from the fact that you've got a tower of 5-gallon buckets,
you wouldn't even know
they're there.
No.
Like I think if I often think about this, if I was to recommend to somebody, like if you were just a gardener.
I might have missed this Q Kitchen and Beyond. Hello. I don't know if you already said hi, but that's the first time I'd seen them in there. So
no, I didn't.
Sorry if we missed you earlier, but I see you now. So hi. Sorry to interrupt.
What was I saying?
You were talking about the worm bins and being inside.
Oh yeah. Well, talking about like livestock that really bring the most to a garden. Definitely worms would be in the top. It would be in the list of top 3. They'd probably be number 1. Especially if you're in a smaller space, because if you're in a bigger space and you have huge gardens, maybe not. They might, like, having worm bins probably doesn't benefit as much, but you still get benefits for doing like seedling soils and that sort of thing. So I think from a garden perspective, worms are definitely, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Past the membrane, cracked egg before boiling.
We'll have to watch that one.
Check that one out. Oh, I'm getting behind. Oh no. Oh yeah, there's Q Kitchen and Beyond. But yeah, I definitely think. Sorry, I was catching up.
Hey, Holiday Homestead. I hear a child.
Hello.
I'm going to go and
bedtime,
and they're not going.
Oh,
I hear them.
But yes, worms definitely are fast at consuming things, and the cool part about it is, you can propagate them. Like we did purchase our first red wigglers. We could have gone out and collected them, but it was just the timing. When we started it, it was kind of it was a fall project, and we decided, we'll just go get some, a small little batch. But they multiply really well when they're happy, and the more they multiply, the more they eat, and that kind of goes back to what we were saying. Even though we produce a ton of biomass, I say a ton, probably not a really legitimate ton, but there's a lot of other parts between the processing vegetables and that. Because some of our other animals eat it, we don't produce enough to feed a huge army of them, but definitely something we think is worth it. But I guess going back to the original thought, we had toyed with the idea of growing enough worms to sort of supplement the chickens in the winter. And we don't really think that's a viable option for us. That doesn't mean it's not a viable option for others, because if you had a small number of chickens, like I'm thinking kind of more of a backyard garden type scenario where you have big gardens, maybe a small group of chickens, like a few egg layers or whatever, and a fairly big worm bin, because most of your compost is going back into that worm bin, then it might be viable. But for us, it wasn't quite viable. Yeah, that's starting out with a pound. It's kind of all you need to do. And the nice part too is there's so many, like, it's a bit daunting, I will admit, and I'm somebody who does way too much research, but when you're trying to figure out how to do a worm bin on, I'm not going to say on the cheap, but in the most cost effective way for the volume you want, it's daunting because there is, um, oh, we can make you a moderator. We'll make you one in a minute, but, and you can definitely do that. But what was I saying? Oh, figuring out a worm bin design because there's so many of them. But it's almost daunting on the internet to try to figure it out. Like we went with the five gallon bucket tower method, and it was kind of an untested method for us. And we talked to some people, and they were like, "Oh, it won't be big enough. You won't keep it the right temperature and stuff." And totally understand that because it's all about how much input and whatever. But it's worked out really well for us so far on the scale that we're doing it, I guess. How many chickens do we have? Oh boy, I don't know an exact number because I haven't done a head count recently, and we did get rid of one hen and one rooster this week who were both causing problems. One was, anyways. So we're down to. This is just part of the process, but I'm wanting to say we've got around 30. We were hoping for a flock of about 30, broken up between. We've got 5 different clans, which I'll discuss that at some point in the future. We've got 5 different clans or groups of them, so that each group is. We'll get you set up here when Stephanie comes back, Mackenzie. And if anybody else wants to be a moderator, we can give out wrenches. Nothing wrong with that because everybody in here is awesome. So completely okay with that. Just can't do it from StreamYard, but we do have the other computer open in a minute. So that's super. There are other worms you can grow. I'd be curious to look into what the super worms are exactly. Oh, they might be a type of mealworm, actually, because they grow them for reptiles and stuff too. Hello, MB. Sorry, I'm a little bit behind in the chat. We got your email. We just haven't got back to you in typical us fashion, but we have not forgotten, and we have plans to get back to you sooner than later. It's just this week is only a Tuesday, and it feels like it's been a long one already for non-farm related reasons, i.e., normal life. But yeah, I think superworms are actually a type of mealworm, which they're really easy to grow, but I always worry about them escaping because the beetles eventually can get out. But yeah, you can grow them really, like mealworms aren't that hard. It's a little different process, and I think I haven't looked into it for years. You can also, this from a chicken perspective, going down this line for a moment, there are other things you can grow too, like there's flightless roaches and butterworms and all these other things that are more from the reptile community if you're looking for like the live feeder type stuff, or even the fish keepers that grow things to feed, like for animals that they keep that have to have live food. It's kind of like the black soldier flies, right? They serve a purpose, but they're also as a decomposer, composter, etc. But they're also a great chicken food and pretty easy to grow. You're getting well, that's a good question, Holby Homestead. I'm gonna. Oh, hello, drops. So normally we have to keep them in a brooder until with a heat lamp until they're big enough. It's a little cool, like if you're getting them as chicks. It's a little cool for them to be out on their own. So usually you have to do that until they're kind of fully feathered. In the summer, it's a little less of an issue because it's warmer. But that's a bit of a loaded question for us because we hardly ever do it, because when you have broody hens, they do all of that for you. Which I know when you're starting a flock, you don't have broody hens, so yeah, you can't do that. But I think that's a huge advocate for keeping broody hens and using broody hens is that they do it all. Do it all for you, which is which is kind of nice. But yeah, you will need probably a brooder and a heat lamp for a bit, especially if we have cooler nights. What kind of chickens are you getting, just out of curiosity? So Drops doesn't want to be a moderator. Mackenzie wanted you to give her a wrench, because you can do that, right?
I can, yeah.
If we can't figure it out tonight, we will get it figured out, because we know another way to do it in the back doorway. But Stephanie's going to figure it out. Like I say, if anybody else wants to be, we can give out wrenches. Yeah, basically you've got the heat lamp, and yeah, the straw bales would work, 'cause that would keep them kind of confined. It just depends on what space you have to put them in. But they, like right now here, they wouldn't be able to go out. Now, if it's a nice warm day, you could put them out for a little bit in a confined thing if you really wanted. 20 is a lot to do that with, though. I'll be honest. I'm getting behind in the chat. Oh boy. Hello, Vineyard Chicks. We just put the kids to bed. Well, actually, you just put the kids to bed.
Oh no,
Oh,
we
no,
didn't.
they're
No,
still up?
They're still up.
Still up?
It was a bit of a catastrophe.
Uh-oh. Catastrophes are never good.
No.
Oh boy, I'm really behind. I'm like super behind tonight. Sorry, everybody. Yeah, the growing the mealworms.
Sorry, what'd you say? Mackenzie already has a wrench.
Oh, well, never mind then.
She already has one.
Oh.
There we go. What's happening?
Yeah, she's on Team Will It Grow, and sorry, I'm catching up.
Oh, and that's why Vineyard Chicks were. Oh no.
forgot to rob the chickens. Going to collect some eggs. Yeah, I do kind of agree. If you've got the space and somewhere to do it, there's nothing wrong with it. But yeah, the Dubai roaches.
No, nothing like that is going to be in this house.
Oh,
no,
we don't need to with the. But I was just we were talking about alternative things.
I'm just clarifying. Nothing like that is coming in this house. I don't even like the cricket tanks at the pet store. Oh my gosh, the cricket tanks. Ugh.
We don't have anything like that. The worms are fine.
Or those ones at the pet store with the big, huge worms.
Oh, the silkworms.
Oh, gross. Anyways, that's my little rant.
Yep. Anybody wants to drop links to anybody in here or whatever, go right ahead, because I think most of us probably know each other, but not everybody. So, what's North Shore always say? Share the love. But I'll be honest, when I started, that's an excellent point too, and I'm going to do some more stuff on it, because I've been using broody hens since 2009. And technically, I've been using broody hens since longer, because I was using broody duck hens before that. So I don't really, I do get it from a production standpoint. Technically, they're not laying eggs anymore, but if from a small scale, like the homestead scale, I don't know why.
Have a great night, Indiana Backyard Gardener. Thank you for coming in.
Yes, thank you. And I apologize, I'm way behind again. Yep, water troughs definitely work for chicks too, yes, because you can keep them confined. Like that's what you want. You need enough space that they can kind of move around, but at the same time you want it confined enough that they can't get away from each other, because they will huddle together too when they're cold. And that's a kind of a trick. If you've got a big enough space, like a water trough, put the heat lamp at one end, and you can put the food at another end. And kind of they can go back to the warm spot, and they'll pile on top of each other. 20 is not too many. If you've got a big brood of, like, some people do like batches of hundreds, that you can get into issues with them piling on top of each other and whatnot. But yeah,
tarantula food, no. No tarantula food. Yikes.
Yeah, I feel you on the cricket tanks.
Yes. No worries about not being till the end, Indiana. We will be wrapping it up soon, because the kids need to have some reprimanding. And we're not able to do it while we're here. They do not want to behave. No. I'm kidding. They're good kids. They just
don't want to go to bed. They're on their spring break.
They're on spring break, and they don't want to miss stuff.
Yeah, that's a good point. Pending on your setup. The Holby homestead, you might want them in the house, because you guys are colder than us at night and stuff, probably still.
Oh yeah. Well, we had them in. We had the black totes from
The roughneck totes. They work quite well.
the big tote from Home Depot. With the yellow lid. You've probably seen them, but anyways, we had them in one of those, and it worked great. And we just had a half-inch wire mesh over top, and we sat the heat lamp on top of that. Just a single bulb, and that worked great for them.
You want a pretty big one, but
yeah.
Good night, good gardening.
Yes, thanks for coming in.
We're going to kind of wrap it up here. We've been on for a bit.
Oh my gosh, Q Kitchen, 10 snakes and a tarantula. No. That is wrong.
I've kept a lot of different things in the past.
Ask Chris. We have these things called, what are they, dock spiders? And there was a dock spider in the house. What was that, 4 days ago? It probably came in on that desk that we brought in.
Possibly.
And I was on the chair and calling for an emergency. I was. It was like, there's an emergency. You need to get out here now and take care of this.
Oh, the hissing ones. Yeah, they might be actually.
Oh. Drops. I just used a galvanized metal bucket. Yeah.
Yeah, an old rabbit cage would work too. The other thing is if you put as long as it's a good size one, if you put the heat lamp on one side, if you think when they're little that they're too drafty, you can put a blanket over the part of it too. Like there's lots of little things you can do. You just kind of monitor them. Chickens are pretty good. They'll let you know if they're not happy. You'll hear it. Like if they're out of food or they're too cold or they're too hot, they'll tell you. But and they're pretty quick at picking up things. Murder dock spiders at the cottage.
Yeah, no, they don't get to live. No way. And then,
terrified of lizards. Really, that's kind of a.
But in all fairness, if talk about irrational fears, I used to be terrified of birds.
You're not anymore.
No, when we met, he had 2 parrots, and I was terrified. My cousin when I was a kid, had a parrot, and I don't know why. It's very irrational, but I was just terrified of. It's like, get it away! I don't want it. Anyway.
Good night, the Gypsy and the Vanilla Gorilla. Thank you for coming in. And go Team Woodcutter.
Yay! The other thing I was going to mention too, I was going to say to Robin at Hollowby Homestead, since she was in here, I'm going to send you a thing about joining our. We're starting a gardening. Yeah, a Garden Gurus. It's a hashtag thing. We'll fill you in on all that and give you all the links of all the videos to find out what it's all about. But it's a nice little YouTube thing going on.
There's a few others that might be in here still that might be.
Our Eastern Ontario, because we're doing Eastern Ontario.
And not just to kind
of. We'll have to go back and go through and see, because we would like to, get as many people on board as we can. It's something that MB Heritage Farms has started up with Jules Small Gardening, and I think I saw MB in here. They're talking about tarantulas. We want to get something going on that, and we're going to do a video on it and try and wrestle up some Eastern Ontario folk to join Eastern Ontario gardeners. We're excited for it, and we will be hitting you all up.
Yes, we will. But that is a good point about being careful with the heat lamp. You want to make sure that they can't get, depending on how powerful of one you have and where it is in the house and stuff. You don't want it to be something that can easily be knocked off or that sort of thing. We usually use we don't use the real, whenever we've done it, we don't use the real big ones. We just use like the clamp style lamps with a bulb. We're kind of crude when we do it, but it works though. Well, a lot of the ones that you buy specifically for brooding, they're big, right? Like somebody buys 50, 100 chicks, and that does a pretty big space. If you've only got 20, you probably don't need something that powerful. Yes. I don't know if you've got something already, but it's just some food for thought. Yeah. But yes, so we will send you some information there, Hollowby, and we're going to try and get.
it's hard to pinpoint because not everybody wants to give you their exact locations and stuff, but it's hard to pinpoint everybody that would be in Eastern Ontario in our following. But we're going to try and get some information out there to people and see what we can find out. And there's MB there.
Yeah. So I'm going to probably butcher this because it's we did not start the initiative, but it's a pretty cool one. It's basically uses hashtags. And
Garden Gurus is a worldwide hashtag club, I guess you could say. It's an umbrella sort of that is being promoted throughout YouTube and other channels or other avenues to get people into gardening, sharing information, how-tos, that sort of thing. But what it is Gardening Gurus is just sort of the umbrella, and they want everybody to start up their own clubs in a smaller area, which I think is amazing and fantastic.
So it's like an umbrella with then your more regional specific.
Yeah.
So you're still kind of have the umbrella.
Yeah, and it would start to eventually you build your local community, and you would have swaps and seed swaps and little meets and maybe some challenges and things like that. I don't believe you have to be a YouTube member to do it. It doesn't. It can be
across other media platforms.
Yeah, but basically it's kind of just the hashtag Garden Gurus, and then we're going to have the hashtag Eastern Ontario Gardeners, and you would use the two of those in your videos or any Instagram posts or things like that. Even on Facebook, I'm pretty sure you can still use hashtags even in your Facebook posts. And it just allows people to find you and find local club organization, I guess you could say, to get involved with. Eventually there would be
so there's like the Garden Gurus hashtag, but then there's also whatever your club name is, right?
Yeah,
because they're all different,
and they're basically eventually would be it's not like classifieds and things like that, but
and there is a website for it.
Maybe if MB could post the website. I'm going to be terrible. It's You Grow.
Does MB have a wrench? If not, you may have to give them one, but they could post it.
I'm going to give you a wrench, MB, if you don't already have one, so that you can post that, because it's You Grow something. Where's MB? Why can't I find them? Here we are.
Yes, Drops has some excellent advice. If get more than one bulb. Now we've done it really. I'm trying to think what we used the last time. We may have even just, because we've done such small batches, we've even just used regular incandescent light bulbs, and it's worked okay for us. But on the clamp lamp type things, but you can get more powerful heat lamps than that.
Sorry, I'm trying to find
I shouldn't say regular incandescent bulbs, but this more the spotlight type ones.
There's it. Okay. There we are.
Good night, Vineyard Chicks. Thank you for coming in. We need to get going probably sooner than later too, but
I know we keep saying that. Okay, I made MB a moderator so he can post the actual
hello, the Tinker's Wife.
YouGrowFood.com. There you go.
We could have
drops. Yeah, I knew it was You Grow something. We have a little bit of. We've got to build up our information on this and get a little bit better at that yet. It's something we've kind of been watching because there's been a few videos posted between MB and Jules Gardening that we haven't watched the full thing yet. So we're just learning all the information ourselves, but we're very excited to be part of it and get going with it.
You should, Crucy should think about starting a Quebec one. The one thing I think about, this is just as a Canadian people involved in it. Like I know in the States, in the US, a lot of the clubs right now are state orientated, which makes sense because compared to some of our provinces, a lot of the states are a lot smaller, right? So you have a bit of a closer community kind of inherently, but like Quebec and Ontario are huge. So it might make sense to break it down. Like we were thinking Eastern Ontario, because not that you want to, it's not to try to ostracize anybody. It's more, Southwestern Ontario has a totally different climate and whatnot than we do. Central Ontario and Northern Ontario is like, you're so different depending where you are in the province. I think that's more to do with it. But you still don't forget, you're all under the Garden Guru's umbrella. So eventually we would still be able to find others too, right? Like,
but we could always have Chrissy as an honorary member of Eastern Ontario. It would just be for social functions or anything like that. You have to come to Eastern Ontario. That's where we are. But no, I think it'll be somewhat flexible on that, I think, to a point, because there is, sometimes a border doesn't necessarily.
We didn't really plan. Well, we did plan it out. We just kind of always go on at 8:30 on 8:30 Tuesdays, and it just kind of has a life of its own and goes as long as it goes, and that's what happens. But we just kind of picked that day because for us, well, we have the kids tonight, but it just works better than trying to do it later in the week for a whole variety of reasons. So don't have anybody ever feel bad if they miss it or catch only part of it or whatever.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
No, we just like to be here and get caught up with everybody and see how everyone else is doing. It's it's become a weekly tradition now. So, yeah. Maybe I can head.
Well, I think that's the thing too. Right now, the way I kind of understand it is organizing. Whoops, the wrong one. Organizing sort of the clubs or trying to organize them. But if people just want to be part of it too, like you can still be part of it and not be a person that's running a club.
Yeah.
It's basically the gist of it because, for each club, we want people in the club. So I guess don't get too hung up on the forming the clubs right now.
That's the thing. You can join Garden Gurus wherever you are without starting a club. Mm-hmm. We just kind of, from building our channel here, we've met some great Eastern Ontario people that we know would be on board for it. So it's kind of like the kick in the butt to get things organized.
Well, and like we say, it's still part of a bigger thing, right? Because just because you're the Eastern Ontario group or club doesn't mean that you're still going to interact with others. And the one thing I say too, like it's kind of that catch-22. The more local stuff is great because that's very specific to your area and what other people are doing, and there's a whole different set of resources. But it's still nice. Like that's one thing I love about YouTube. We've seen how other people are doing things. It's like kind of through the shed wars. And we didn't watch everybody's videos all the time. We'll be honest, we just didn't because we couldn't do it. It's not possible. But loved watching the Southern Hemisphere. I shouldn't say Australian, but the Southern Hemisphere folks, because like there's some really neat stuff. And some of it's not applicable to what we could do, but some of it, there's little pieces where it's like, hey, that's a neat idea. Or, you're always learning. And I think that's the cool part about it. We tried. We probably butchered some of it, but hopefully we got the general
We'll get
concept.
better, as that's our first time explaining it. We have a lot of notes, and we're going to get better, and then we're going to do a video on it and wrestle up some people for our little club. So watch out for that. Well, I guess we have to sign into the portal first, though. We did get your email on that, so we've got to sort that out first. But we're excited.
Oh, it sounds like got some discussions there. Well, it'll be interesting to see how it pans out.
Mm-hmm.
Whichever way it pans out, hopefully it works out the way you hope it does. That's the best way to put it.
Mm-hmm. Well, Mackenzie's doing her first Garden Guru video tomorrow. Or did you already put that up? I missed it.
No, I haven't yet. But Tinker's wife had a good point about being part of it, but not necessarily, being the club creators and stuff. But yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Oh, that'll be good. We've got an idea for one, but we haven't got there yet for a video.
Well, I think our first video will be on maybe starting it, and then
I think explaining it a bit. Yeah,
explaining the principles and what it's about and whatnot.
Oh, that's pretty awesome. You're working on your solar stuff. We'll have to keep an eye out for those.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, we'll have to keep an eye out for those because it's something I'm interested in learning about because I don't know. I'm not an electrician. I wouldn't even know where to start. That's a skill I don't have, but definitely would be interesting to learn more about that because that would be something in the long term that would be nice to do. A tiny home on wheels on a small unrestricted property. Yeah, that would be kind of nice. Not gonna lie.
No, which one should I do? Tiny home on wheels or tiny home on a small unrestricted property? The unrestricted property would be kind of interesting, but because that's like our on whatever townships, right?
But the big thing for us would be the tiny home on wheels would be cool if you were planning to move around. But then I don't know if you could really do. I'm just putting it out there. You couldn't really do the homesteading stuff because that stuff is quite that's quite a tie, right? Whereas the tiny home, I mean, you can always have outbuildings to be sustainable.
We're queen and king of outbuildings. We always talk about we should downsize. We should have a smaller house, and then we go, yeah, but then we would need an outdoor kitchen. We'd need an outdoor craft room. We would need an outdoor.
and we still need those things.
We still need them even with a big house.
Maybe not the outdoor craft room, but
yeah.
But yeah, exactly. It is fun to see what different people are doing in different areas and climates because. Well, it's like the growing ginger here. Up until we started doing it, like I hadn't really heard of anybody doing it. And then you kind of do some research and whatnot, and you realize well, people do it, but that's not something that was common knowledge in our area. Like nobody grows ginger. I agree, growing up in the same area as roughly where we're living, like nobody would have even thought about it. That was just something that was imported, and now it's like, well, you can do it. It just takes a little bit of thought and planning. Yeah, there definitely is a lot of forums. For
that's what I should have said. It's more of a forum. The
forum is like the for garden growers. The forum format and the website is kind of like the foundation of it, and then it's linked to all your other
it kind of the layout when MB was showing it the other day on his live was almost reminded me a little bit of kind of like the Reddit, where you can post a comment in your area and hopefully somebody will help out and answer that sort of thing. So it's great for that, or you've got seeds you want to give away or share or things like that sort of stuff. So
concentrate on home repairs before solar. We're the opposite. We're always doing stuff outside before we do home repairs.
What I'm doing. Oh, those can be very handy.
Yes, they will be really handy. Because even for smaller stuff, I think it would be really useful.
Replacing the water heater.
I have done that before. Surprisingly. Not necessarily by myself, but I have participated.
You've been involved in it.
Hello, CJM. I saw you in here.
Yes.
We're good.
Great. How are you doing today? We'll catch that answer at the bottom. Track unit.
That's true. You've got options. You kind of have options both ways, I suppose. I guess it depends what your long-term goal is, really. Oh boy, I'm almost caught up. I'm caught up.
Yeah. It's
kind of a mini party. We've got a good group of people in here.
We've just kind of been.
That's the best. That's when these lives are the best. Is when you've got good conversation going.
Yeah.
And everybody just listening to us ramble on and on and on forever.
Fix everything yourself. Oh gosh, I do wish. There's a lot of things that we need to kind of.
Yeah, but you downplay it. We actually do a lot of it ourselves. You do.
That's why our house is still drywall with plaster.
No, that's timing. We couldn't have done it well in the winter months. We need to move some stuff before we can.
Oh.
Yeah. Move some
There's
stuff.
we do a lot of good things with livestock or that sort of thing, but it's like the tractor. That's something that we don't deal well with.
Okay. Well, yeah, the tractor is a bit of a learning curve for me, but it's also it wasn't in the best of shape when we got it with the house. So
We can't escape the cats. I tried to lock them upstairs for the video, and they were just like at the door, like, "Oh no, we have to be with you." So now they're down here in the craft room, which is where we hide out when the kids are here for our lives, because they are supposed to go to bed. Which actually, to be honest, they haven't come to the door again. So maybe they went to sleep.
Yeah, maybe. That's pretty cool. Like that's again that thing of you go to different parts of the world and people, could you imagine? This is for us in Canada, and there are people actually that do grow some hardy bananas in southwestern Ontario, but they're in heated greenhouses.
Mhm.
So take that for what it's worth. But could you imagine being able to grow things like that? Like I know watching people in Florida, and you just kind of go like the stuff you can grow. But then there's things that we can grow that don't grow well in warmer climates too, right?
Mhm.
So it's kind of you always have that. It'd be awesome to be able to grow something that we can't grow, but then
Yeah.
Well, thank you, CGM.
Thanks, CGM. Yes, and thank you for always posting them on the homesteading. Anybody in here that's on Facebook, CGM has a well, it's not just you, I guess, because everybody's involved with it, but there's a HOC, Homesteaders of Canada Facebook group. So definitely if you're in Canada and want to join, I don't know if you have to be in Canada. Is that actually part of the rules? I can't remember. But it's a good little page that we've got going there with sharing some YouTube information and just day to day what everybody's been up to and tips and things. So definitely take a look at it if you get a chance.
Yep, exactly. The list never ends, and it always feels like it takes you longer to do things.
Yes.
Unfortunately.
Yes. That's our dilemma, and that's why we ended up buying wood instead of cutting wood.
Yes.
It just didn't make sense to take even though we have wood, it didn't make sense to take the time out of fencing or other things to go and do wood. So maybe one day. The wood's not going anywhere.
Well, eventually it will rot.
Yeah.
Oh, that's pretty cool. The hardy bananas. That's really cool.
Mm-hmm.
It's amazing what some people do or are able to do or able to figure out. Like you're totally trailblazing stuff, which is pretty awesome. And that's definitely a big one. The hard part is bringing the stuff in. Like I don't know. We'll go back to livestock. We were talking about before we got the cows that we did. We were talking about another kind of cow that would have sort of suited our needs too, but it was.
But there was just so few, and
there's so few of them.
Getting them from all different places was
/ importing them wasn't
from the
feasible.
States,
yeah. But
well, it's like what's the Idaho pasture pig? Isn't that the one that you can't get in Canada that you wanted to?
I don't believe there are any. But yeah, the tractor's a bit beyond me. Like, and it needed some pretty major repairs, so it's repaired now. But can I eat the Tinker's wife?
Yeah.
We keep
Thanks
saying
for hopping
it. We're
in.
probably going to do the same sooner than
Yeah.
sooner. But yes, I think Canadians can grow really well. It's just one of those things. We have such a short season, most of us, and like we have a longer season than a lot of other people too, right?
Yeah.
But and lots of people can grow well in lots of places, and there's some pretty harsh places that people grow a lot of food. But there he did answer the question. You don't have to be. It's just when the barbecue and stuff get together. Yeah, so that's cool.
So, but yeah, you can be involved in the group without being in Canada. Just
you can keep track of what all us Canadians are up to.
Keep tabs on us. But I'm excited. There's going to be barbecues. I think that's the worst bit is, with all this COVID stuff and everything, is not being able to do that sort of thing. Because we really, we started our YouTube channel after the first lockdown of COVID, really. kind of. And it has been one of those things. We've built such a community here that it would be great to get together and meet people. I mean, we've been fortunate to meet a few people kind of on a one-on-one sort of basis.
Which has always been pretty awesome.
You know, that we've met through the YouTube and things like that. But
it's nice to meet like-minded people too, right?
Exactly.
Or you know, more like-minded people. Because like for us, a lot of the people we know aren't really interested in it, and that's fine. But it's nice to chat with people who have been doing it and whatnot. We have the Coonies, and they're one of the ones that was used to create the Idaho pasture pigs. I really like them so far. We'll see how they do as far as babies and stuff go. But all I can say
we got to
is
wait until a little bit longer.
We've got to run through the full course of the cycle before we really make the final commitment. But
we like them so far, and I definitely wouldn't go back to big pigs after them. The Idaho pasture pigs were probably, well, they were first choice, but because we couldn't get them here, the Cooney was kind of second. And I don't know, maybe everything happens for a reason.
The other one was the guinea hogs. They were the ones you couldn't get, the little black guinea hogs. So Idaho pastures, you're thinking of the guinea hogs, because the Idaho pastures are Coonies crossed with a bigger pig, and then they've closed the registry now.
Okay,
but
the guinea hogs, that's right.
The guinea hogs, yeah. That's probably the hardy figs. We were talking to somebody the other day about them. I would love to try them. Again, it's just that thing of why not? It'd be neat to try it. But that's the same thing. Like, who would have thought of growing figs in Canada? Nobody, right? Like most local gardeners. Well, it's a bit. I'm not even gonna say mainstream. There are people doing it now, but it's still a minority, and that's cool, right? Because then you can meet the people who are doing it and get the tips from them, and then eventually try it yourself. And it's not just gardening either, right? Like that kind of works for everything. It's like what we were talking about with chickens and broody hens and stuff. It's all all of this stuff equates down to information that otherwise just doesn't get passed on, right? Like I think that's a big thing about the Garden Gurus thing too. It's like you're connecting people who have been doing things in various capacities. Everybody's got expertise in something, even if you've only been doing it for a very short period of time. You could still be an expert on certain things. Like there's no question about that, and you could still teach other people. But I'm probably getting behind again.
No, you're good. You're good. Yes, barbecue for sure.
Yes, that would be awesome.
We put in our first black elderberry today.
That is awesome.
Oh, Chris is going to be jealous.
Yeah, I need to get some because I'm going to do some staking out this year because it grows wild here, but right around us, I don't know where there is any.
Yeah.
So when it comes time to collecting cuttings or whatever, I don't know where I'm going to get them. So I'm going to keep my eye out and see if I can find something nearby.
Yeah. Or hopefully, as we build our community, somebody will have some.
Well, there's that too. No.
Yeah.
But I would love to get a good patch of that going. We had ordered some, but then the order got canceled, and it was kind of like, we may try again next year if we order from the same place earlier. We'll see. But I wasn't super impressed with that. But it is what it is. If you can't get them, you can't get them. But that's pretty cool. You guys got them in, and that you got them. I think we still have to watch some of those videos, because I kind of know the backstory from the live and talking to Jules, but haven't actually watched some of the videos about the stuff with the elderberries. Yeah,
Chris, see the taking it in and out. Yeah, a gentleman actually that just got hatching eggs from us this weekend. This weekend? Oh gosh, I don't know. Yeah, I think it was this weekend. He has 2 fig trees that he brings into his garage in the winter, and then he just put them back out tentatively, because if it got too cold, he had to bring them back in.
But yeah, it sounds like it actually sounds pretty simple once you get them and get them going. So I'd like to try it. It may not be in the cards this year, but that's the nice part about some of this stuff. You've got time.
Yeah.
But we'll see. Maybe I can find some. I haven't even looked online to see. I'm sure online there wouldn't be anybody with them available anymore. That's the one downside, like when MB's saying, because they got the elderberries. That's the thing, right?
You just have
if you're
to
on
have-
your own trying to go out and get stuff, it's getting hard because
You got to be at the right place at the right time.
yeah, everybody's looking for stuff.
Yeah.
And if it can be
And
easily
if Chris
purchased,
gets there first, look out.
I have a tendency to buy lots of things when they're
Yep.
available.
Yeah.
That's the prepper side of me going. I could buy 1 or 2, or I could buy 5 or 10, or it's just
Thinking of forward.
Yeah, this being self-reliant is definitely, I think, for most homesteaders that's a goal. But it's amazing when you and don't get me wrong, people can achieve it, no question. It's an achievable goal, but to truly achieve complete self-reliance, that's a very big goal.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's a hard task because I don't think we could even do it. I say that.
Well,
Maybe.
I often say we will get there right when we are to the age that we don't want to do it anymore.
We'll keep doing it.
Well, as long as you can design it and make it all in a way that is actually feasible to do at an older age. And that's one thing that we kind of try to plan for as we move forward, keeping everything in a way that will be easy for us later in life.
Mm-hmm.
To keep going. I mean, we already have said the cows probably not going to do that forever because that's something that can, get a little bit riskier.
Well, the gentleman who kept that breed going, our Lynch lineback cattle, he basically retired from it. He was 90.
Yeah.
Or 90 or 93. I forget when he actually fully kind of retired from it. And he hasn't completely because he still has cows. He just doesn't have as many of them.
Yeah.
But to put it in perspective, you could keep doing it for a very long time.
Mm-hmm.
It just depends on a whole lot of other factors. But
yes,
that would be kind of cool. We could sort out getting 1 or 2.
Yeah.
Meet up.
Yeah.
Have to figure that out. Yeah, because the border is probably about halfway between
Montreal
and
here.
here.
Yeah. We're actually right. We're only 3-4 miles from the 401. It's not the 401 once you cross over into Quebec. What's it called? Is it the 22? No. What's the main highway that goes from Toronto up through Ottawa to Montreal? I can't think of what it is once you cross over into Quebec. But anyways, we're not very far.
Haven't gone that way in a long time.
No.
But, that's pretty awesome on the compost.
We should go get some food. It's cheaper there.
But that is awesome. It's nice. That's one thing. It is nice to when you can produce it yourself or get it locally like that, especially if it's from a neighbor. That's pretty awesome. But I think this is a good point. There's always strengths and weaknesses, and it's the social aspect of stuff that builds on those strengths and not builds on the weaknesses, but builds on the strengths, compensates for the weaknesses, right?
Yeah.
And that's where it's so hard. It's like we were talking about chickens earlier, and it would be really cool to do a chicken food garden, but could you actually scale it up on your own to feed a flock of 30 for the winter? Probably not because of the equipment and stuff that's needed, but maybe you could if you had the time or you had other people helping, or there's so many different ways things can pan out. That's the
but that's the concept of building the community.
Yep.
Is you have, like what he's saying, strengths and weaknesses in different people and different whatever, and you eventually figure out how to all mesh and make it work.
Yep. And that goes back to what I was saying about, it doesn't really matter how long you've been doing something for per se. You're probably going to have strengths on something that somebody else isn't, right? Or experiences, or even bringing, the garden gurus is very garden focused, but still, like there is overlap with other things, right? If you've got other skills that they can still apply to it. Yeah. It's like, heck, as a welder, you could make trellises, which is extremely useful, but which is a totally different transferable skill to gardening, right? Thinks it's Highway 40.
Okay.
I might be right. I honestly don't remember. I should should remember, but
Yeah. Oh, this is it exactly, Drops.
that's
You
exactly
can't,
the point.
and this is what we've said. It's you can only be as self-sustainable as you like.
No,
What's the word?
essentially nobody can do everything.
It's just you have a percentage that you can do yourself, and that's like you said, nobody can truly do it all. I mean, we have the dilemma. Yeah, we could grow all our own food, but we can't grow enough to feed our animals, so we're not sustainable.
Well, or we can't fix our electrical
Yeah.
stuff, or we can't fix the tractor, or
yeah.
heck, we can't mine, or we can't extract oil to put stuff in
We
the
couldn't
tractor.
keep
Like
the tractor,
you
yeah.
can just keep going and going and going. But
Yeah, so that's one of those things we often, and that's a bit of a niggler that we often find is where we follow a lot of channels on YouTube, and we always are looking for new content to watch and new people to follow. And that's one of the niggler things is like you go to read the about, and it's not
a tangible
outcome. A realistic goal, I guess, and yet that's what it's being portrayed as.
It's a realistic target to aim for it, but it's not, for vast majority of us, it's not a realistic goal, because exactly like Drops is saying, you physically can't have all the skills yourself. You can't.
Or if you have all those skills, you don't have time to grow your own food.
Well, you physically couldn't.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You're in your lifetime, you actually couldn't. And that's not a negative. That's not a detractor, but that's almost a good thing to keep that in mind, because that is kind of that constant reminder of not to try to take on too much. Just leave it at that. But
yeah. Have a good night, CJM.
Yes, good night. Well, I think we may. So it's already almost 11.
We're almost 11. So
we may do the same and end it there. This has been an excellent discussion, though, and thank you to everybody who's been in here. It's been great chatting to everybody. And
yes,
the terrible thing is we could probably just keep going for another 2 hours, but we also have to work in the morning. / get up and do normal chores, and I'm sure we're not the only ones that have to do that.
Yeah.
So, but yeah. Skills like nunchuck skills,
like jumping skills. There you go.
Everything is a skill, and sometimes skills come into play in weird ways.
You never know when they'll come in handy. Really, you don't.
It's true.
You know, it could happen.
Yeah.
But anyways,
thank you, MB.
Thank you very much, and we will get going on our end with the Garden Gurus.
Yeah, when you weren't here, I did say we got the email. We just haven't got back.
Yep, we are going to get onto that, and
well, so Drops could keep going.
Yeah.
The sad part is I probably could too and still get up in the morning, but I would eventually. I never really
crash.
I never really hit the wall per se, but
he'd be hard to get up in the morning. I'd be up.
My problem is I have to think for my job, my normal job. I have to think about what I'm doing. It's not so much like hurting yourself with machinery, but I actually have to be cognizant enough to think about what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
so that's all right.
But on that note, everybody, have a fantastic rest of the week. It's been great. Thank you so much for all coming to our live and for chit-chatting and filling us in on what you've all been doing. And we will certainly be here again next week, and hopefully we'll have more exciting stuff that's really happened, but still it rolled into great conversation. So that's good. And we will, see everybody next week.
We'll talk to everybody later. Hopefully everybody has a good night.
Yep. Bye
good
for
night,
now.
everyone.